Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Commentary Hub, where we're going to be bringing you live coverage of England first game in the Euro 2021 against Croatia. Of course, your host is John Kane for today, and we're going to be bringing you the live action as it happens. We'll start first with the lineups for both teams. England, Pickford in goal. In the four-man defence is Trippier, Mings, Stones and Walker. In midfield, just ahead of the back four, in fact, Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips, and Kane is up front, and just behind Harry Kane is Foden, Mount and Sterling. As for Croatia, we've got Livakovic in goal, and in defence we get Gvardiol, Celticar, Veda and Veseljako. Then in midfield, we got Brozovic, Modric and Kovacic. And up front, we got Karadzic, Rebic and Perisic. Of course, the team is a very experienced team. Of course, they got to the final for the World Cup 3 years ago when they lost it to France in the end. But this team is a very good team, the Croatian team. They had good results coming into this tournament. But the only problem with that is actually they've got quite a few players who actually, shall we say, aging a bit. Luka Modric, who is the best player in the World Cup last time. And he is the captain for today. He's 35. We've got Ivan Perisic, the Inter Milan player. He's 32. And we've got a few other players who are actually more or less in the late 20s and early 30s. But that doesn't take from the fact that England will, with the youngsters that they've got, with a mix of the experience as well, they can actually try to expose that weakness in Croatia today. But again, Croatia is a very good team, like we said, and they've actually also, their run to the tournament has been quite successful. England, of course, we've seen them, and their scores, they obviously beaten Romania 1-0, beaten Austria 1-0, beaten Poland in the last World Cup qualifier by 2-1, and prior to that, beating Albania 2-0, and they beat San Marino 5-0. As for Croatia, their last preparation was against Belgium, who won yesterday, and they lost to Belgium by 1-0. They drew with Armenia by a goal each, and in the last three games in the qualification was in Croatia's group, and they managed to beat Malta 3-0. Cyprus 1-0, and they've lost to Slovenia 1-0. I mean, don't let losing to Belgium and Slovenia fools the England team, because in a matter of fact, Belgium, of course, they are one of the best teams in the world, and Slovenia and all these Balkan teams that actually came up in the last 10, 15, 20 years, they're actually very good teams, and we should never estimate teams like from Slovenia, Bosnia, Croatia, of course, and teams like that. And as we've seen from Croatia, getting to the World Cup final was a massive achievement in Croatia's small history, shall we say. Of course, it used to be part of the old Yugoslavia, and the only team that probably associates itself with Yugoslavia is probably Serbia. And even Serbia and Montenegro managed to split in the last few years. England. Well, let's talk about England and the actual lineup. It's a bit puzzling for me. Having Kieran Trippier, by the sound of it, on the left-hand side in the left back. Kieran Trippier, he played his career in Burnley, Spurs, and Atletico Madrid in the last season, and he won the La Liga with Atletico. And I don't understand the reason behind playing him on the left back. It would be more probably accurate to have someone like Luke Shaw to play in that position. He's a natural left-footed, and he has plays for left foot for Man United. And of course, asset for the rest of the squad is more or less. It's understandable to have Declan Rice. He had a fantastic season. Calvin Phillips, he had a very good season with Leeds. And of course, people say Jack Grealish possibly that he's not around. But England is full of talent when it comes to that sort of positions. We have got Sterling, Mount and Foden. And of course, these are ones that we're going to see today. And they were instead of people like Jack Grealish and Jordan Henderson and Marcus Rashford and Bukayo Saka. But it's Gareth Southgate's team up there. We'll probably find out more about the puzzle that I've been put in, which is Kieran Trippier starting on the left. We've seen Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier both playing on the right for England. Kyle Walker more or less into deeper position, into the centre-back kind of position, and Kieran Trippier was given the flank. But we'll soon find out when the game starts if that is how the team is going to line up. We got the players from Croatia coming up shortly, and of course, Livakovic mentioned some of the clubs that they play for. 26-year-old that plays for Dinamo Zagreb. Of course, Marko Modric, who plays for Real Madrid, the former Tottenham player, Kovacevic, the Chelsea player, of course, won the Champions League a couple of weeks ago, beating Manchester City in the final. And of course, we've got people like Ivan Perisic, Inter Milan player, like we said, Rebic, who plays for AC Milan, the 27-year-old forward. We've got Karabic, he plays in the Bundesliga, in fact. He plays for Hoffenheim. And Brozovic, who is a very good, talented player in that role, the 28-year-old who plays for Inter Milan. I mean, we Milan have won the league with in Italy recently, and they stopped the Juve domination in the Serie A. But Brozovic was actually one of the star players for me. He actually played really, really well. And you need to have a solid defense and a solid midfield to that effect. Vrsaljko, the Atletico Madrid player, he's on the starting lineup. Kieran Trippier's colleague, of course. We got Vida, the 32-year-old who plays his football in Besiktas in Turkey. We got Seltasar, the youngster, 24-year-old, he had 14 caps, and he does play in Marseille. I saw him a couple of times play for Marseille, and I must admit that he's actually quite impressive in that centre-back role. And last but not least is Gvardiol. Gvardiol, he plays his football in Dinamo Zagreb. He's one of the youngsters. And of course, Dinamo Zagreb has got their own share in this squad. We've got 5 Dinamo Zagreb players in this whole Croatia's 26 Croatia's squad. So, but like I said, we're hoping that England can get the first 3 points of the tournament. It's not an easy tournament. Of course, the group is a Group D, and it also includes Scotland and the Czech Republic, which will be coming up after this game. The players are out on the pitch. They are listening to the national anthem for both squads. They are now playing the national anthem for the English team. And of course, the England team, like I said, is full of talents. We just hope to say that after the game is that it's not just what on paper that made the difference. It's actually what happens on the pitch as well. We've seen so many teams. When you look at Holland, we had a discussion a few days ago with Matt Ellis presenting a beautiful show for us. And all the pundits in the community hub gave their predictions. And I gave my prediction on the Netherlands. And it's such a brilliant team as players, as individuals, but when it comes to the crunch, they always seem to struggle, and it's been known like that since the 70s. And it is They've won the out in '88 with the fantastic, probably one of the best goals you ever see from Marco van Basten. And if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's absolutely brilliant goal on the volley from the right-hand side of the goal. It's one of the goals that you watch over again and you never get bored. And that team sort of managed to play together brilliantly. But before that and after that, there's always seemed to have some frictions in the Dutch squad for numerous different reasons. And it's reached to the World Cup final in 74 and 78 with Johan Cruyff and Niskins and a few other great Dutch players. And we just don't see Holland to do as much as we expect. The referee today is the Italian Daniele Orsata. We got an Italian official, an Italian linesman, and of course we got VAR, which might help us later on to try and to sort us through the puzzles. We'll go through the Croatian team again. Croatia, like I said, never underestimate that squad, but let's just hope for England that they can bring this back home in the end. Harry Kane, the England captain, and he's the vice captain at Tottenham. Of course, the Tottenham Hotspur captain is Hugo Lloris, who's also the captain of France. We're literally a few seconds away from the starting of England's campaign in this Euro 2021, which is, of course, as everyone knows, been delayed from last year due to the horrible pandemics. But we actually, let's hope that the world can move to a better place in the near future and for the long term. England will be the team who's going to be starting us off. They're wearing the white tops, and Croatia are the ones who are wearing the darker top. England are taking the knee. There has been a bit of criticism on that, but they're taking the knee for fight against racism, and they're playing from right to left, and Croatia will be playing from left to right. And in fact, the whistle has blown, and England are on their way. John Stones cross it forward towards Harry Kane, but it's too much on Harry Kane, and it goes to the first throw of the match inside the Croatia area for Vasielko. Vasielko with a throw-in. Vasielko, who is the Atletico Madrid player, goes to Luka Modric, and it's a good move in the middle of the park for Croatia. And Kovac has managed to get on 2-3 players. It was a fantastic play, but in the end, it was a good cover from Calvin Phillips, and it goes back to Kieran Trippier. And Kieran Trippier is playing left back. I mean, I was hoping that he's not playing with fire, to be honest with you. But this, like I said, this is Gareth Southgate's squad, and we hope that he knows what he's doing. Speaking from a fan's perspective, it's not really convincing, and it's a bit worrying when, as an England fan, and you see a player who actually won the La Liga as a right fullback to play as a left fullback in the first game for England. The ball with England gets from Harry Kane. And it goes to Declan Rice and ball in the middle of the park. Calvin Phillips, the youngster from Leeds. And it goes to Croatia. Kovacic on the left-hand side, trying to pass it on to his colleague, but it got intercepted very well in the left-hand side of the England half from Kyle Walker. And going back to tiring wings. To John Stones. To Mason Mount. Mason Mount is one of the Chelsea players, of course, who won the Champions League for Chelsea against Manchester City. And we're playing in the second minute. And of course, we wish Christian Eriksen all the best and speedy recovery due to his unfortunate incident collapsing on the ground for the game against Finland, playing for Denmark. So all the best wishes from everyone here in the commentary hub, and I'm sure from everyone from around the world. Calvin Phillips, John Stones, the middle of the park. It's all England at the moment. To Kyle Walker on the right-hand side. to Raheem Sterling. Raheem loses the ball, but it still goes back to England, and there's a foul against Raheem Sterling for Perisic. Perisic is absolutely one of the phenomenals for the Croatian team, the Inter Milan player. And he's always one of these players who hardly gets mentioned, but his contribution for Bayern Munich and for Inter Milan has been phenomenal throughout the years. And he's absolutely a talented player. He was, on a number of occasions, was linked to come to the Premier League. I'm not sure now it's probably the right time, being a 32-year-old, but he's actually a great servant for his country and for both clubs. Inter Milan winning the league, and of course with Bayern Munich winning the league more than once in the Bundesliga. Well, with Vida to the right-hand side, Vasiako in the middle of the park, but he couldn't control the ball. The Raheem Sterling managed to steal the ball for him, surrounded by three players, but they get back from Luka Modric, and it goes to Brozovic to Perisic. Perisic take on three players. Perisic on the left-hand side, surrounded by three players. Back to Kovacic, to Luka Modric, the Madrid player. The ball still inside the England half, the left-hand side from Perisic. Try to take on Kyle Walker. He's surrounded by two players. Pass it back. And it goes to Luka Modric. And Modric goes inside the penalty area, but the referee whistles for a foul for England. It was actually a very dangerous play by Croatia. In fact, the ball hits a referee, so it's going to be probably a drop-in for Croatia. And understandably so, from the Croatian point of view, Luka Modric was not happy at all with that. But the rules states that if the ball does hit the referee, then the ball needs to come back to where the referee starts with a drop ball. And it does start with a drop ball with Luka Modric. To Kovacic. Change position to the right-hand side. To Vasiako, but Vasiako could not control the ball and goes to a throw-in to England. 5 minutes gone, and you're listening to John Kane on the Commentary Hub Live, and it's still England 0, Croatia 0. Like we said, we're hoping for a good start from England. It's a great throw from Kieran Trippier, and it goes to Phil Foden. Foden shoots and hits the post. Fantastic shot by Phil Foden. It was a great move from England, and it still goes back to Kyle Walker, to Calvin Phillips, to Walker on the right-hand side, back to Phil Foden on the right-hand side of the penalty area. It's a fantastic move by England, and Foden was unlucky to hit the post. England still with the ball, and it goes back to John Stones, to Tyrone Mings. It was a great throw, initially from Kieran Trippier from the left-hand side. Quick throw and a long one to Raheem Sterling in the middle of the park, who sprints forward. Then he passes the ball to Phil Foden from just on the edge of the right-hand side of the penalty area, and had a beautiful shot, but it deflected on the post. And England now give the ball away. And as the ball goes to Croatia, to Perisic. Perisic tried to shoot from outside the penalty area, got deflected in the hands of Jordan Pickford. That was a bit of a mistake from... Instead it was Karadzic, but it was a mistake from England giving the ball away like that. The ball forward towards Raheem Sterling on the left-hand side, inside the penalty area, but it's too much to Raheem, and it goes to a goal kick to Croatia. It was a fantastic move. Like I said earlier, it was the best chance of the game so far. Raheem Sterling, who passed it to Phil Foden on the edge of the penalty area, just inside the penalty area, left-footed and hit from inside the post, but it goes back. And I think probably a couple of centimetres short of actually going inside the net, and is more or less beaten Livakovic, who's in goal for Croatia today. Modric with the ball. Croatia are in control. Karadzic. But the ball taken off legally by England. And like we said, today's referee is the Italian referee. And the ball with England to Kieran Trippier. Please send us your views on the Community Hub Live on Twitter regarding any observations. And you can tell us why Gareth Southgate has got Kieran Trippier on the left-hand side. Raheem Sterling on the left-hand side of the penalty area, surrounded by two players, managed to pass the ball to Mason Mount, to Harry Kane, to inside the area. Raheem Sterling shoots, but they're deflected by the defender, and it goes to a corner. It was a fantastic interception by Celtic. It was a great move from Mason Mount to Calvin Phillips to Raheem Sterling from the edge of the 6 yards, but it was a great interception by Celtic to a corner kick. Corner to England from the left-hand side. Mason Mount is going to be taking the corner. Mount, the Chelsea player, cross it inside, just across the 6 yard area. Stones heads it, but it clears. And it shoots from Calvin Phillips from outside the penalty area, and he got saved. Fantastic save by Livakovic. Fantastic shot from Calvin Phillips. That's 2 shots now on goal, and England are showing that they mean business against Croatia. Of course, England have lost to Croatia in the World Cup semi-final 3 years ago. In the injury time, 1-1, and Kieran Trippier did score in that game, if I remember rightly. But England did beat them in the UEFA Nations League by the same score, by 2-1. So 2-1 seems to be the trend between England and Croatia over the last few games. Of course, clean sheets are as important as scoring goals. Phil Foden from the right-hand side. John Stones trying to keep the ball, but a bit of pressure from the Croatian forward. To Phil Foden. I pass it to Harry Kane, but deflected to throw-in on the right-hand side. But the shot from Calvin Phillips early on is a fantastic shot, right-footed towards goal. And Livakovic managed to save the ball, and it was so powerful that he could not control the ball and have to be pushed away. The ball goes back to Calvin Phillips once again, who's been lively, the youngster, the Leeds United player. Phillips, pressure from the players, brings it back to Tyrone Wings. Wings to John Stones. Wings. Of course, we have got a good bench for England. Like we said, we have got Jack Grealish, Jude Bellingham, Calvert-Lewin, Jordan Henderson, Reece James. I was expecting Reece James to start, but for some reason he wasn't preferred by the England manager for today. 10 minutes gone, and still 0-0 between England and Croatia. England, who had the better chances through Phil Foden hitting the post and Calvert-Lewin. The ball with Foden inside the penalty area. Foden trying to pass it across to Mason Mount, but it's too much to Mount. It goes to Raheem Sterling on the edge of the penalty area. Mount. Short passes between the two players on the left-hand side of Croatia's penalty area, but get intercepted. And now Karadzic with the ball. And Karadzic trying to give Croatia the counter-attack, but it was a bit too slow. And the ball was still with Croatia. And bad pass from the Croatian player, Brozovic. And aimed for Luka Modric, but he got to throw into England inside the Croatia half. Kieran Trippier. Kieran Trippier with a throw-in for England. The throw-in goes to Mason Mount. England's been very lively in the better team with the 2 great chances. Headed to Harry Kane, but intercepted. Harry Kane could not control the ball, and it goes to the Croatian defender. It was Perisic who's coming back defending. It was a pressure from Harry Kane, and it cleared by Versalio. The ball still was Kovacic, but it goes back to Croatia. Now Modric controlling the ball. To Versalio. To Karadzic. to Modric. The ball just inside the England half from the right-hand side. Modric looking for options here. Pass it back to Brozovic, the Inter Milan player. Brozovic, the 28-year-old midfielder. Like I said, he's been one of the other players who unsung hero for Inter Milan prior to the departure of Conte winning the Serie A in Italy. Like I said, they stopped the Juve dominance and the ball forward towards, it was heading towards Karadzic, but it was well intercepted by Tyrone Mings. And now England are in control of the ball with Kieran Trippier. Back to Tyrone Mings. Mings, cross it forward. It was aimed probably towards Raheem Sterling, but it's a bit too much for Raheem Sterling. Cleared by the Croatian defenders and go back to Raheem Sterling on the left-hand side. Put it back to Kieran Trippier. Trippier to Mings, back to Sterling. The ball's go back just inside the England half, trying to evaluate the situation. And goes to Mason Mount. Mount more or less playing towards the left-hand side, with support, seeing him and Raheem Sterling more dominating from the left, and Phil Foden seems to be going forward from the right-hand side with the support of Kyle Walker at the moment. Mings under pressure, but managed to clear it forward to Raheem Sterling, clears by the Croatian defender. And Brozovic, again, he's, like I said, that player is just phenomenal. He doesn't get too much mention, but if you watch him and if you see some of the highlights for Inter Milan for last season, he has been everywhere, literally, and he's been one of the key players for Inter Milan to win in the game. And I'm so really impressed with that player. And don't forget Brozovic, he's a 28-year-old with 59 caps. And he has scored, Brozovic, he has scored 6 goals for Croatia. The ball back with England. 15 minutes gone. Still 0-0 in this Group D match between England and Croatia. We have seen England with probably more dominance and with the 2 good chances that England had. Phil Foden hitting the post and powerful shot by Calvin Phillips, the Leeds player, which was deflected and saved by the Croatian goalkeeper. The ball goes forward. To Mason Mount. Mason Mount on the left-hand side, cross it inside the penalty area, cleared, and goes back to Luka Modric from the edge of the penalty area, and go back to Harry Kane. Harry Kane, pass it to one, trying to pass it on to Phil Foden, but got intercepted by the Croatian players, and it's a foul. Foul for just inside the, in fact, but it's right inside in the half of Croatia's half. It was a foul by the Croatian player on Calvin Phillips. It was Kovacic on Calvin. And we're talking about probably 30, 40 yards out from the goal. And I could not anticipate that it would be a shot from that kind of range. But it seemed to be doable, but we are talking about 30, 40 yards out. Trippier and Mount, who's standing behind it. And I would assume that it will be crossed inside the penalty area. It's just a matter of getting the right ammunition. Trippier, cross it towards Harry Kane. Harry Kane heads it, but it goes out. And in fact, the whistle get blown and it's offside against Harry Kane. It was the right move. In fact, he was offside, the right decision. It was a great play from Trippier towards Harry Kane. Cross forward, Harry Kane just tried to head it, but he could not get to the ball. It was a good cover-up from the Croatian player Robic, who's coming back to support his defenders. And the goal kick gets played for Croatia. And goes out for a throw into England. Kyle Walker on the right-hand side. Kyle Walker. Walker with the throw-in. Of course, we mentioned Croatia. They have got a short history as a country, but not the actual identity. The Croatian identity goes to hundreds of years. We're talking about the actual modern Croatia. They managed in that short period of time after leaving Yugoslavia to get to the final of the World Cup 3 years ago, and it's a fantastic achievement. Phil Foden managed to get the ball off the Croatian players. He's next to the corner flag, but missed to intercept by Karamic. Now it's been taken from England, but it was a foul against Calvin Phillips. It was a good move by Kovacic, but he was fouled by Calvin Phillips, the Leeds man, on the Chelsea player. Calvin Phillips, the English youngster, he has actually been very impressive this season and for England. And today's game, in fact, he had a second chance for England, and you see a lot of him. You can see a lot of Calvin Phillips recently. Mason Mount with England, pass it to Trippier on the edge of the penalty on the left-hand side, cut it across towards Harry Kane, but it's too much on Harry Kane. Go back to Trippier on the right-hand side, left-hand side, back to Mount. To Declan Rice, pass it forward to Foden, goes back to Declan Rice. There's a foul for John Stones, where the referee says play on. The ball's still with England. Stones. Bit of pressure from the Croatian player. Push the ball back towards Jordan Pickford. Jordan Pickford, who's England's first choice, ahead of Dean Henderson and Sam Johnson. Raheem Sterling cut it across to the middle to Harry Kane. Harry Kane put it back to the left-hand side again to Mason Mount towards Raheem Sterling inside the penalty area within about 7 yards, trying to cross it towards Phil Foden and Calvin Phillips, but he just got cleared by the England defenders. Kyle Walker cross it inside the penalty area, cleared again by Celta Car. Goes back to Croatia, again back to England. England think they can sense they can do something here, but Raheem Sterling, who's about just outside the 6-yard area, he should have just had the shot on goal, but he decided to cross it, a short cross towards Kane and Foden. Anyway, England with the ball again. Raheem Sterling on the left-hand side of Croatia's half. Sterling. Can England build to something and trying to get a goal in the first half just to settle their nerves? Trippier. Short passes between Trippier and Sterling. Pass it back to Tyrone Mings. Tyrone Mings, the Aston Villa defender. He also had a good season. We have got England. We actually have got very good players, and whichever players you decide to choose, especially the players going forward, is always going to Gareth Southgate will get criticism on that, because we have got 4 or 5 players who can go forward with the likes of Foden, Mount, Sterling, and I'm sure when it comes to Gareth Southgate, having Jack Grealish as a sub, it's not an easy decision, but he had to sacrifice one of the 3 players that he had, Sterling, Mount, Foden. Of course, we know Sterling is a good character in the team, very fantastic player alongside Mount, Champions League winner, and Foden, the league winner with Manchester City. So Jack Grealish has been one of the great players to watch last season to start with, and of course he did have the injury, and maybe Gareth Southgate is thinking of them injuries by having Jordan Henderson and Jack Grealish on the sub bench for England. The ball goes forward from Croatia. Goes to Karamic. Rubbish, in fact. But got cleared by John Stones. And it goes to throw in to Croatia. Croatia more or less playing with a diamond shape. Brozovic just playing just ahead, just in front of the back 4. Modric, Kovacic playing just in that middle of the park. And we've seen Perisic more or less playing on the left-hand side for Croatia in the first 22 minutes. And now Versialko on the right hand side. He goes inside the penalty area, the England area, in fact. But get cleared by Raheem Sterling, and Trippier cross it forward towards Harry Kane. Too much on Harry Kane inside the Croatia area. And get cleared by Vida to Brozovic again, to Modric. Try to take on Mason Mount, but have to pass it back to Kovacic. Just inside the England area. Pass it forward beautifully to Luka Modric. And there was a late tackle on Luka Modric, but the referee says play on. He said it was more or less a rolling dive from what you can see from the referee. And now Croatia has got the ball, and they're going to try. I'm sure we're going to see some sort of VAR if it was a red card situation, of course. But Modric is not complaining, so it was a bit of a dive or a bit of just normal altercations between him and the England player. Croatia on the attack on the right hand side. Versialko cross it inside the penalty area, and it heads back inside the 6-yard area by Tyrone Mings to a throw into Croatia. Throw into Croatia on the right hand side. Versialko to Brozovic again. Versialko, like I said, the 29-year-old, 14 caps to his name, never scored for Croatia, but he does play for Atletico Madrid. And you can see some of the players on that team who actually have won something in Croatia. Well, with Perisic, cross it inside the penalty area, but too much on everyone. And it goes to a goal kick to England. In fact, that was Guardiola. It's a bit of a shade on the pitch, and it's very hard to see sometimes on the players' names. But so far, we had two good chances for England. The first one was from Phil Foden. Fantastic left-footed shot from just inside the penalty area. Just hit the inside of the post, but it did. I mean, lucky for Croatia, it didn't hit the goalkeeper and goes in, or just the ball just goes in straight after. It just managed to miss the goalkeeper and goes out. And of course, Calvin Phillips' shot from outside the penalty area, which was saved again by Livakovic, the Croatian keeper for today, who is a Croatian 26-year-old plays for Dinamo Zagreb. Plays quickly the throw-in to Sterling, and a shot from Sterling, and it goes into Red Z. It was a terrible shot by the Manchester City player. It was a great throw. That's the second throw from Kieran Trippier. The first one that led to Phil Foden's shot, and the second one just now, who managed to find Raheem Sterling again. And Raheem Sterling was on his own without being marked by any of the Croatian players. But this time, Raheem Sterling from just outside the penalty area, his shot was just too wide. Now, ball for attack for Croatia, but it was good covering by Tyrone Mings. It goes to Luka Modric, to Versialko on the right-hand side. Back to Brozovic. Like I said, Brozovic is just literally everywhere. Tremendous play for Croatia. And the ball still with Croatia, with Versialko trying to take on one. He managed to take two players, and cross it inside the penalty area. And he shoots from the Karadzic, from Perisic it was, and it goes to a goal kick for England. It was a great move. Versialko managed to take on two players on the right-hand side, crossed the ball, and then missed everyone. It goes to Perisic from probably just about 12, 13 yards inside the penalty area, but his right-footed shot just goes to Rosé again. It's a great move by Croatia, and of course, they know by that they can reach to the England goal, which Gareth Southgate needs to sort of think about it in half-time. We didn't see a lot of chances for Croatia. That was the only chance so far. But nevertheless, England team needs to be careful from any counter-attacks. And of course, we saw Versialko taking on, I believe it was Mings and Trippier, very easily on the right-hand side, the Atletico Madrid player. And that is really not good enough. And they need to be careful. The ball back to Modric. in the middle of the Croatia half. To Brozovic again. Back to Modric. Of course, Modric, the ex-Tottenham Hotspur player, and the Real Madrid, one of the surviving Real Madrid players. And pass it on to Guardiola. He's actually gone forward. Guardiola on the left-hand side, but it goes back to Modric. Modric, cross it to the right-hand side towards Versielko. Versielko. Try to take on Kieran Trippier. Put it across to to Modric. Pass it forward to Karabic. Back to Versielko. Versielko. Left-handed cross towards Guardiola. But Guardiola could not control the ball just outside the 6-yard area, and it goes to a goal kick to England. Croatia started to wake up a bit, and we haven't seen much really from England in the last probably 5 minutes or so. We're coming to the half-hour mark. It's still 0-0 between England and Croatia, and but like I said, the best chances did come to England. 2 great chances, Phil Foden and from Calvin Phillips. England now on the attack. Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker still with the ball. Just ahead of Luka Modric. And Kyle Walker passed it to Kieran Trippier, but there was no one there. And the ball goes to throw-in to Croatia. That was very, very careless throw from an experienced player. He cut across Kyle Walker all the way from the right-hand side towards the middle, and he probably was expecting Trippier to move a bit forward, but he just pushed it like literally good few meters ahead of Kieran Trippier, and it was too much on Kieran Trippier, to be fair, and that was careless from the Manchester City player. Anyhow, the ball did go to Croatia and it ended up going to a goal kick for England. So just England need to be a bit careful here, not to take and make silly mistakes. As we know, football is about taking chances, about taking advantage of other teams' mistakes. And we don't want to see that happening to England. Ball with John Stones to Rice, just inside his penalty area, playing from the back again. Kyle Walker, pass it forward. But it's too much, and it goes to a throw into Croatia on the left-hand side, just near the halfway line. And we're in a half-hour mark. It's still England 0, Croatia 0 in this Group D match of the Euro 2021. Like I said earlier, this tournament was supposed to take place last year, but due to the pandemic and to over the year so now, a year and 2 months in fact, when officially it was recognized as a deadly virus. And we wish everyone in the world great health and great recovery, not just from the COVID, but in life in general. Ball with Croatia on the left-hand side, and a great cross from Perisic towards Rebic, who was inside the penalty area, but it's cleared by England. Goes back to Kovacic. Kovacic take on Foden. He sprints forward, pass it on to Rebic, but it goes to Karabic on the left-hand side. Take on Calvin Phillips, cross it inside to who's meant to be to Rebic, but it's cleared by the England defence. And now it goes all the way back to the Croatian goalkeeper. Croatia started to wake up, and Modric has been on the ball with Borozic, probably most of the Croatian players who had possession in that ball. Every ball seems to go back. If it's ball going forward, you'll see Modric heading there, and we'll see the ball towards the back, and Brozovic is there literally trying his best to keep possession for Croatia. Versielko on the right-hand side, try taking Kieran Trippier, Raheem Sterling in fact, but the ball get cleared by, intercepted by Sterling, and it cleared by Jordan Pickford, and goes all the way back to the Croatian goalkeeper, Livakovic. Livakovic was one of the star players who has played for Dinamo Zagreb against Tottenham Hotspur in the Europa League. Tottenham did think that they were going through after the first leg, but Dinamo Zagreb did come back, and it was a great comeback, to be fair, from the Croatian team and knocked Spurs out. And that's probably one of the times that actually started to put pressure on Jose Mourinho as Tottenham manager at the time. And of course, since Mourinho has left his post, and of course, he is now the manager of AS Roma in Italy. Of course, there is now the rumours and social media talking about Paulo Fonseca, the ex-Roma manager, taking charge of Tottenham Hotspur, which is going to be like for like, really. The ex-Tottenham manager heading to Spurs and vice versa. But we shall see. Nothing has been confirmed. The only thing that has been confirmed is Chelsea is the European winners, European Champions League winners, and Manchester City are the English Premier League winners. England, Kyle Walker towards Foden, but too much on Foden, and it goes to a goal kick to Croatia. We've seen Foden, and we've seen him more or less concentrating on the left-hand side, and you can see he's just got that one player in Kyle Walker supporting him. But when you see England going forward on the left-hand side, you seem to see more of Sterling and Mason Mount in that position. So I'm not saying it's disadvantage to Phil Foden, but it's just probably extra hard work or maybe an extra trust by the manager that he can do things on his own more on the right-hand side, to giving the position for Mount and Sterling to concentrate more on the left-hand side. So far, we've seen the best chance from Foden and from Calvin Phillips. So Croatia on the attack. And the pass ball on the left-hand side of the penalty area from Guardiola. But Guardiola could not control the ball. He's Guardiola, he's a very, very good player. And he's been going forward a few times from that left-hand side from his the 19-year-old who also does play for Dinamo Zagreb. And we've seen him some of the times going forward on the left flank for Croatia. Of course, his age, and he has got the pace. And of course, he was given the green light by the Croatia manager to go forward and help up the Croatian player. Goal kick for England, but it goes all the way to Karabic in the middle of the park to Luka Modric. Pressure on Luka Modric, surrounded by three players, but managed to find the ball out, and it goes all the way to Vrasialko. Cross it forward, but heads back by England player. Then it clears again by the Croatian defender, and it goes all the way towards Tyrone Mings. The Aston Villa player, pass it on to Declan Rice, who also had a fantastic season with West Ham United. We are in the 35 minutes and still 0-0. No team yet to break the deadlock in the first half. We have got 10 minutes to see whether the deadlock can be broken. Like I said, we have seen two fantastic chances. If you're just joining us here, you're listening to the Commentary Hub live. And still England 0, Croatia 0. We're just hoping to see a goal in the first half. Here covering for you the Euro 2021, and England were the closest with two chances, Foden here in the post and long range from Calvin Phillips, which it was saved by the Croatian goalkeeper Livakovic. Ball with Phil Foden. England playing from the back again. Mings to Kieran Trippier on the left-hand side, going forward. Pass it into Raheem Sterling. Sterling try to take on 1-2, sprinting forward. A great move for England. Pass it to Phil Foden on the edge of the penalty area. Foden falls down, and the referee says play on, and balls go back to Croatia. Croatia goes to Karabic on the left-hand side, but it was well intercepted by the England defender, Kyle Walker. It was a great interception by the Manchester City player, and it goes to Declan Rice. To Raheem Sterling. England started again trying to move a bit forward, trying to create chances. We haven't seen much of Harry Kane yet, the England captain. Of course, as we all know, no one knows at the moment where Harry Kane's going to be. Of course, he played all his career, his senior career with Tottenham. He's probably one of the most valuable strikers in the world. His value at the moment is priceless, and no one knows the exact value with all the pandemic and with his ability. He is the top goal scorer and the top assist player in the Premier League the season just gone for Tottenham. but still to be seen where the 27-year-old going to be come next season. Could it stay at Spurs? But all the rumours heading towards that maybe at this stage, Manchester City are the ones that where he's heading. They're talking about possible swap, which might include Raheem Sterling heading back to England. Raheem Sterling is a London boy. They play for Liverpool, but he is actually a London boy, Raheem Sterling. Ball from Declan Rice to Trippier on the left. And like I said, if you got any views, please share it with us if you like. And like I said, if you got any thoughts on why Gareth Southgate decided to put Kieran Trippier on that left-hand side or as a left back, please share it with us, and I'm more than happy to share that information with you. And of course, if you want to send any messages to anyone, please feel free. I'm more happy to reiterate them at halftime or even when there's a break in the game. We also, with at halftime, we'll be listening to Ross Vernon's points of view on the game, who's watching the game as well, one of our great pundits and presenters here at Community Hub, Commentary Hub, in fact. I do apologise. The ball forward for Croatia. But there's a foul, there's a handball against the Croatian player. It was against Rebic. Rebic, the AC Milan player, 27-year-old. He's got 38 caps and did score 3 goals for Croatia. And the ball back with England. Just under 6 minutes left for the half-time. Still England 0, Croatia 0. And John Stones with the ball, playing from the back to Calvin Phillips. Cross it forward towards Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker near the corner flag. Try to take comparison, try to cross it towards the penalty area, but the cross from Kyle Walker was more or less rosy, and it goes through a goal kick to Croatia. We have seen good moves for England. We've seen 2 good chances, but at the end of the day, it's the goals that counts. As Denmark, I saw yesterday, they were the better team against Finland. They have the bigger position. They had more chances. They even had a penalty, which was missed by Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, the Tottenham player. But that all counted for nothing in the end, because only one chance for Finland, and they scored from it, and they got the 3 valuable points and 3 surprising points. But of course, I mean, there are debates on should the game would have been carried on. No, attack for Croatia on the left-hand side, but Karamic could not control the ball. And we've seen again Gvardiol going forward again. And as the second time or the third time in the last 5-6 minutes, I've seen Gvardiol, the 19-year-old player, going forward as far as the England penalty area. So he has given the green light by his manager to support his counterpart, his colleague in that left-hand side area. And the ball forwards towards Raheem Sterling. Sterling try to get the ball off 3 players. And Raheem Sterling gets fouled. And it's going to be a foul for England in a dangerous position. In fact, the referee says it was a handball before he body checked Raheem Sterling right on the edge of the penalty area. It's a good position for England. And it was a foul and a yellow card for Kaletakar, the Marseille defender. And it's going to be a dangerous free kick for England from about 19, 20 yards. Just outside the penalty area, more towards the left-hand side. And you can see Sterling, Foden and Mount all standing behind it. They have got 3 minutes for England to break the deadlock in the first half. Still 0-0. But can any of these 3 players, the 3 star attacking midfield players for England, can break the deadlock? Harry Kane has ruled himself out. He's actually standing just ahead of the Croatian wall with Tyrone Mings. So it looks like it's going to be possibly Kieran Trippier as well. So now it's been left to Trippier and Mount. Trippier has scored for England against Croatia in the World Cup. So can Trippier score again? Trippier. Right-footed from Trippier. It does look like Trippier's going to go for it. Trippier shoots and hits the wall this time around, and it clears and it goes to a throw in to England. It did hit Perisic's head, and the players a throw in. They get to Raheem Sterling, and it's a foul against Sterling. It was a handball inside the penalty area, and it goes to for throw in fact, for a free kick for Croatia. It was very similar free kick from Kylian Trippier, the one that he scored from, if I remember rightly. And I do apologise if I got that wrong, but I do seem to remember Trippier's free kick. But this time round, it did hit, headed by the wall, particularly by Perisic, the 32-year-old Inter Milan player. And now the ball with England. So England have had chances, but really we haven't seen the spark that we were expecting from England. I did not see any spark at the moment. Yes, they had 2 good chances. And with all the respect to Croatia, they're a very good team. They are the World Cup finalists from 3 years ago. But when you look at paper, England should be doing much more. They should be creating much more. But this is football. And like we said, yesterday's game, Denmark against Finland. The Danes were all over Finland, but it meant for nothing in the end. So beware. And England from Croatia in the second half. Karamic with the ball. Karamic take on 1-2. Power pass it on to his colleague. But now we see Gvardiol again on the left-hand side. Gvardiol. On Karamic. Karamic pass it on to Perisic. To Karamic inside the penalty area. But this time he got collided with Tyrone Mings. And it's a foul for England. It was a good move by Croatia. It was a lovely 1-2 between Karamic and Perisic inside the penalty area. But it did end with Perisic body checking Tyrone Mings inside the penalty area for England. And that would be a free kick for England. Just under half a minute left, plus stoppage time, still 0-0. That's a free kick for England. Jordan Beckford. We'll be bringing the views at half time of our own Russ Vernon to take you through the half-time interval. The ball goes forward for England, get intercepted by Croatia. Still ball, headed from Harry Kane, but this time it cleared by Vasialko ahead of Phil Foden, and it goes to throw-in. England seems to be put on gear 2 in the last 2-3 minutes, and in fact there's been no stoppage time in the first half, and it does end England 0, Croatia 0, and it has been more or less an England domination in the first half, but Croatia have had their moments. And the best chance in the first half did come through Phil Foden and Calvin Phillips. And it was very good chances. The first one from Phil Foden that hit the post. And the second chance was from Calvin Phillips from a long range from outside the penalty area, which was saved by the Croatian goalkeeper. So half-time, and it did end in England 0, Croatia 0. We did have 1 yellow card towards the end of the half. It was a handball against Kaletikar, and shortly we'll be joined by our own Russ Vernon to give us his thoughts on the first half, particularly on England. How does he think he'd done? Personally, I think England has had pretty good possession of the ball, but we're not talking on major chances or good or big on pressure in the first half. But we might see that in the second half. We might even see introduction of few players coming on. Kane was very anonymous today. Of course, he's a leader on the pitch, and let's not take that away from him. But we haven't seen hardly anything with him on the pitch. But like I said, being a leader as well, it does make a difference. So what he does behind, off the ball, it does make a big difference as well. It goes just for Harry Kane. That goes on for all the rest of the players. So let's not underestimate Croatia, because Croatia are a very good team, World Cup finalists. Yes, like I said, they are aging a bit, likes of Luka Modric and Perisic. But what we've seen in the first half, it was a very good performance from Luka Modric. He seems to be everywhere, as well as Brozovic. And we've seen Perisic, and I've seen very good left wing from Croatia, Gvardiol, who's going really forward to so many times and causing problems for England, but his presence really wasn't translated to very good chances. But it just shows a threat to Croatia. But like I said, England still got the second half to play for. It ended England 0, Croatia 0, and we're back shortly with Ross Vernon and his opinions on the second half. Stay with us.
Good afternoon, John. Can you hear me, mate?
Good afternoon, Ross, and thank you for joining us at half time. I'm just going to shut off a few minutes, but I'm glad that you're here. I'd just like to ask you quickly regarding England performance in the first half. I mean, it was a good position for England. I mean, let's not forget Croatia are a very good team and they're World Cup finalists. But really, England only had two good chances, and that was through Calvin Phillips and Phil Foden. But apart of that, we didn't see Harry Kane, and we didn't see much going forward from the England team.
Yeah, you're right there, John. And England have played very, very well in that first half, had a lot of the possession in that first half. Phillips is the one getting a bit further forward in that first half. I don't know what you think, John, but for me, Phillips has been the one who's been playing very, very well for England in that midfield, along with Mount and Foden. For me, Sterling has given the ball away too many times in that first half. He's still there to keep the ball a bit better. We did do well playing Phil Foden. I thought that Phil Foden effort was in when he came back off the post, but England dominated that first half and deserved to be in front for me. England have been dominant up until the last 10 minutes of that, for 10 15 minutes of that first half when Croatia grew into the game. I thought England could have had a couple of penalties, one when Phillips went down, one when Sterling went down in the box, two fouls there, but and that chance from Calvin Phillips, I thought that was in it. And it's going to be an emotional day for Calvin Phillips for a number of reasons. One, he's making his England debut playing for England in the major tournament. Plus, two, his much loved Granny Valley slightly lost towards the back end of last season, and should have loved to have seen him play in this major tournament. So it'd be a good but also a sad day for Calvin Phillips as well, John.
What's a couple of quick questions for you? Harry Kane. I mean, he might be doing quite a lot off the ball, but we haven't seen Harry Kane at all in the first half, haven't we?
No, he's not really going to the game much. He's not really testing much. And also, John, as well, I know you've seen on our Facebook group, I've not been a big fan of John Stones. And if anyone's listening out there, like Sir Barry and that, good evening, good afternoon to you guys. But for me, so far, Stones, out of the two, has been the better of the two centre halves for England. Mings run into it as the game gone on by the start, and the nerves from that, what you would have thought probably from the likes of Phil Foden, Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips, John Stones, Declan Rice, these younger type of players who's going to be in around the England squad for much longer than the likes of Harry Kane, Kyle Walker, Jordan Pickford, etc. They any nerves are there of that, John, they've got out of the window straight away.
No, absolutely, absolutely. My last question before I go on my own break, Kieran Trippier. What is the thought? Why Kieran Trippier? I'm a bit puzzled with this, and I left it also to our viewers to give us their comments on, regardless on what on our listeners. In fact, why Kieran Trippier is playing in the left hand side when he got the likes of Luke Shaw who can take that place? Kieran Trippier won the La Liga being in the right back. Why put him in the left?
And Southgate says it's been the best informed side that's on the out on the pitch today for this for England. And I think one of the reasons why we've got Trippier in the side, maybe from the left, because Walker can do it very, very good up and down the right, and he's also done that time and time again. Oh, and then but on the left for England, whenever he's played on the left for England, Trippier's always performed well, and he's also got a good free kick on him. So I think that's one of the reasons why he got that into. That's why he's got him into the in on the left side for his dead ball situations, and also he has got well getting down that side and putting the balls in and linking up well with Sterling on that side at times and Foden as well when they've switched sides. So I think one of the main reasons because of his dead ball situations is why he's fetched. Is why he's put Trippier in there because of Shaw. He wins a little bit towards the back end of last season. Probably don't think he was 100% fit to start that game. So maybe that's why he's put him in. And with Chilwell, I think he's picked up a little bit of a knock. That's why he's not in the match day squad today. So that's one of the other reasons why he's put Trippier into that left back spot today, John.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I still find it will restrict the movement of Kieran Trippier because he does love going forward from the right, and we've seen him doing that for Burnley, Spurs, and Atletico Madrid. And he always lethal on that right hand side, and we've seen it for in the last season how such a great Kieran Trippier is going forward for Atletico. He was magnificent. Whatever Diego Simeone done with him in the last year with in La Liga, and they won the La Liga in the end, it's been tremendous. Him, like a few other players, Luis Suarez, for example, who also went to Atletico Madrid. But it's a shame of a waste that Kieran Trippier, with the caliber that he had, and I appreciate Kyle Walker is very good as well, but to put Kieran Trippier on the left, it was just a bit of restriction, really, because a left foot is very hard. I mean, it looks easy, doesn't it? You can play with the right, but when it comes to the crunch, it'll be very hard for Trippier trying to move forward because he is a right-footed player. That's all.
Yes, but with Trippier and Atletico Madrid, John, if you notice, he has used both feet. He's used the left and he's used his right foot as well. So he can use both feet, and he majority of times is when he's played on that right foot, Atletico Madrid is cut inside onto his, go back onto his left with balls in from the right hand side and cause a few problems playing for Atletico Madrid. And I'm just going to touch a bit on Croatia as well. Luka Modric sort of dictate the game in the last few minutes along with Mateo Kovacic. But at the start of the game, and I think this is one of the main reasons why Southgate has gone with Phillips and Rice, is so they can press high on the midfield, do not let Lysa Modric, Brozovic, Kovacic have time on the ball in that middle of the in that three in the midfield for Croatia at times. It is five at times as well when Kramaric and Perisic drop back when England have got the ball. But the middle three is always going to be Modric, Kovacic and Kovacic. Then with Rice and Phillips in there, Rice and Phillips can push forward, causing a lot of problems for them. And that's, I think, Rice and Phillips seem to be working well. And I just want to ask you a quick question, John, before I let you go for your quick break before the second half starts again in about 4 or so minutes' time. Out of the two older midfielders so far, we've obviously we're not really seeing much of Declan Rice, but what's been your thoughts on Calvin Phillips today? I think he's done well going the ball, made some good ones. Was unlucky to be caught offside when I think it was Trippier or Walker played the ball over the top, trying to game in behind down that left hand side. But I think Phillips has done well and dictated the play for England, and for me, this is why we need him in that midfield area for England.
I mean, I agree. I think Calvin Phillips is having a really good game, considering that it's his debut on an international stage. He's doing very well. Obviously, he had a hand in the second chance. His shot, which was saved, long range shot, which was saved by the Croatian keeper Livakovic. He's been very solid as well, and you see him going backwards and forwards, and he has done this bit and bit more. And so far, him and Declan Rice have been a very good combination, having him in that position. But if I look on the other side quickly, Russ, Brozovic, number 11, he's doing exactly the job what Phillips and Rice is doing. And so far, the best two impressive players been for me in this game so far, it has been Phillips and Brozovic. They're both very similar players, but you see them everywhere in both respective sides, and they're doing their job up to the, completely. And the minute you take off Phillips and Brozovic, then it will be problems for England and Croatia, respectively.
Yes, and also, John, I've got a stat up here from Calvin Phillips' first half, his first half stats. 100% pass accuracy, 26 touches, 18 out of 18 successful passes, 3 out of 3 successful long passes, 3 duels won, 3 ball recoveries, 1 tackle won, 1 successful take on, 1 shot on target, 1 foul. He was fouled 1 time, and he was offside once. And that's just goes to show how good Phillips can be for England. And he's showing now why he's a big player for Marcelo Bielsa in our Leeds team and what helped him get into the England setup and in the England's first team. Phillips with that first half performance, backed up by those first half stats from him there.
Absolutely. I'll be, to all our viewers, I'll be back in 2 minutes for the start of the second half. I'll leave you in the hands of Ross Vernon to give us his thoughts, what might happen in the second half, and what Gareth Southgate need to do to get a result today and not fall in the traps of Denmark that they fell off yesterday against Holland. Ross.
Yes, John, thank you very much. I think, for me, England, if we continue to play like they did for the first 30 minutes of that first half, can get a lot of can get goals out of this game. We can go on to potentially win it. I'm still sticking with my 2-1 prediction. I think we'll take the lead. I think we'll take a 2-goal lead, and then with the eventually last kick of the game, Croatia will equalise. We'll not equalise. We'll pull one back, and I think England will go on to win this game 2-1. And I think if you look at the performance from England in that first half, yes, last 10 minutes it hasn't been great, but overall, for 30 minutes or so, one of the best performances from England under Gareth Southgate, in my opinion. And I think we've had a very good first half. The players are just making their way back out onto the field of play. So what I'm going to do, I'm Croatia back out now, and just waiting for England to come back out in a minute as well, which they are doing right now. So I'm going to get off back downstairs to watch the game with my dad and land you back over to the match commentator, John Kane. John.
Thank you, Ross, and welcome back, everyone, here at Commentary Hub, Commentary Live 1 on Twitter. You can join us with your views and your comments, and I'm more than happy to mention them throughout the second half. The first half did end 0-0 between England and Croatia. England had a couple of good chances, shot from Foden, which has come off the post, and long-range shot from Calvin Phillips. We have seen Croatia improve as the game went on, but England, I'm sure they're going to try the second half and try and nick an early goal in the beginning of the second half, because Croatia can have a threat. They have the experience in their players and their manager and as a team in general. So whatever happens in the second half from Croatia, England need to do better. And we have seen Harry Kane, the England captain, and we hope to see him more on the ball in the second half. In fact, the referee has blown his whistle start of the second half. This time, Croatia will play from right to left, and England will play from left to right. The ball goes to Gvardiol. Pass it forward to Karadzic on the right-hand side and sprinting forward. Perisic, in fact. Perisic tried to take on John Stones, and he nearly did so, but it was cleared. And that's a great ball. That could have been a mistake here. It was cleared by the England defender, deflected by the Croatian player. It was Tyrone Mings who tried to deflect it, to try to clear it. And Perisic was the one who deflected it and it head back towards the goal. But luckily for Pickford, he was there right on the line to save England brushes. Now, England going forward, but into no man's land, and it goes to throw into Croatia on the right-hand side by Versijalko. We mentioned quite a few of our Croatian players who are doing very well so far this season, and England players, of course. So we've got so many players who actually won the Champions League and won the Premier League, the likes, and the La Liga. So we have got winners in the team. We've got Trippier, we've got Stones, Walker, Foden, Mount, Sterling. They've all been winners this season. Tyrone Mings, Villa, He was more or less didn't win much, but he has been solid for Villa. So is Jordan Pickford for Everton, and of course Harry Kane, who was the top goal scorer for Spurs and a top assist player for Tottenham as well. Perisic crossed it from the left-hand side, but it was offside against the Croatian. Now Croatia, for the first 2 minutes, they seem to be the more lively at the moment, and it was a good ball. It was a fantastic ball, in fact, from Kovacic towards Perisic on the left-hand side, and he was free to go. But it was literally a few inches offside that probably saved England from position. As Ross said at half-time, Stones has been really good defensively. We have seen a few, shall we say, a bit of a probably loss of faith in himself, lost self-esteem from Tyrone Mings. And that can't be a problem. And probably the Croatian manager probably did mention it to his players, is to try to go into Tyrone Mings more than John Stones. And there's a foul for England now in the middle of the park. And against Mason Mount, it's a bad tackle. And I believe it was Kovacic, in fact, who was a late tackle on his own Chelsea teammate, Mason Mount. And that is the second yellow now after Zaleta Kar, the Croatian centre-back who got the yellow card in the first half. And now Kovacic gets the second yellow for Croatia in the second half. Mateo Kovacic, number 8, who also one of the winners of the Champions League, and he's Mason Mount's teammate at Chelsea, the Champions League winner. I know we mentioned it so many times for Chelsea winning the Champions League, but regardless of our rivalry, of course, being Spurs fans, Arsenal fans probably were supporting Chelsea, Manchester City, what have you. But still having an English team winning there, it does help the positions of English teams to qualify to the Champions League. So it can, lack of winning, it can reduce the English representations in the Champions League. Now, Tyrone Mings tried to clear the ball, but he could not control the ball near the England corner flag, and it goes to throw in a dangerous position on the right-hand corner flag for Croatia. Again, Tyrone Mings seems to be the one who used to be the weakest link at the moment. So maybe Gareth Southgate probably think if he carries on like that to maybe substitute him before Croatia do use that kind of visibility. Beautiful flick from Modric across inside the 6-yard area, cleared by England. Now England on a counter-attack to Harry Kane, but it was too much on Harry Kane again. We haven't seen Harry Kane so far in the first half, and yet in the second half, the ball goes forward from Livakovic, the Croatian keeper, and head towards Perisic, but it was cleared by Jordan Henderson, literally from the edge of the penalty area, just ahead of the Croatian player. Kieran Trippier was out of position there. Kieran Trippier's header went back towards Jordan Henderson, and it was Rebic who was there waiting for it to take the ball, and Kieran Trippier apologises to Jordan Henderson for that back pass header. So England survive, and what we've seen for the first 5 minutes, probably more dominance from Croatia, and that will probably makes Gareth Southgate rethink with his squad, trying to probably give different instructions, trying to break down the Croatian team. Ross Vernon did give the prediction of 2-1 to England at the end of the game. We haven't seen any goals so far, and it's still 0-0 between England and Croatia. No team yet to break the deadlock. 2 good chances for England in the first half through Foden and Calvin Phillips, the Leeds player. And the second half, it's been more dominant by Croatia. Harry Kane passed the ball to the Croatian player. It goes to Brozovic. Brozovic with the ball. He's been brilliant, Brozovic, today. And goes towards, pass it to Milko Modric, the Croatian captain. And there's a foul on Modric by Declan Rice. Late tackle, middle of the park. And Modric now with the ball. Modric to Kovacic in the middle of the park. To Brozovic. Back to Kovacic looking forward. Pass it to Modric, who is on the left-hand side, just inside the England half. Modric, try taking Foden, cross it to the right-hand side towards Vercialco. Try taking Kieran Trippier. Pass it back to Modric. To Brozovic. Cross it to the left-hand side towards Gvardiol, the 19-year-old from Dinamo Zagreb. Back to Kovacic. It's all Croatia now. Croatia more likely at the moment to probably give us a lead. Pass it to Vercialco, but intercepted by Kieran Trippier. Now Trippier sprinting forward hoping for an England counter-attack, but it's a bit too late now. But Trippier still with the ball, and he passes it forward to Harry Kane. Harry Kane inside the Croatian area on the right-hand side to Phil Foden on the edge of the penalty area. Foden surrounded by two players. Pressure back to Kyle Walker, bring it back to Phil Foden on the right-hand side of the penalty area. Support from Calvin Phillips, but gives it back to Kyle Walker, and the ball goes all the way back to John Stones and Tyrone Mings in the middle of the park. Mings, Trippier to Raheem Sterling on the left-hand side. There is no way in for the England team at the moment. Trippier to Harry Kane from the edge of the penalty area, trying to pass it to Raheem Sterling forward, but the ball intercepted by the Croatian players, and Modric was on the counter-attack, but it was a foul for Modric by Calvin Phillips. Foul for Croatia inside their own area. Plays it short to Gvardiol. To Luka Modric again. It's not really the second half that we were expecting from England, but we do hope that Gareth Southgate and English players can do something. And like I said, for me, Harry Kane, who I think he's fantastic player. I haven't seen him at all in this game, to be fair. But at the end of the day, if he can score a goal for England, then the rest of the game will mean nothing really, because he would have done his job. But he's a leader, like I said, and he's a leader on the pitch. He does things off the ball, and we'll just wait and see for the next 35 minutes or so. Now, Croatia again on the attack. Kovacic with the ball. Cross it to the left-hand side towards Perisic. Perisic on the edge of the penalty area on the left-hand side to Gvardiol. Pass it on to Karabic just outside the penalty area. Change position to the right-hand side. And a shot from Modric. And it was saved in the second attempt by Jordan Pickford. It was a low shot by Modric from about 20, 25 yards. But it did take the second attempt from Jordan Pickford to save that shot from Luka Modric. Now, England on the ball. Declan Rice in his own half. Rice, the West Ham player, also had a fantastic season for West Ham. They finished fifth in the league, in the English Premier League, and which obviously gave David Moyes an extra 3-year new 3-year contract to stay at the London Stadium at West Ham. And of course, Declan Rice is the West Ham captain. And that's another ball forward towards Raheem Sterling, and Raheem Sterling could not control the ball. And you can see Jack Grealish is warming up on the sides. And we do hope to see Jack Grealish, because we do need a change in England of some sort. We haven't seen much from England going forward, and especially from Raheem Sterling, which I probably would assume that Jack Grealish, from my point of view, if he does come in, he'd probably take Raheem Sterling's position. And we need to see more creativity, which is at the moment lacking from England. And we know they can do it. We know we have got the players. We've got Foden, we've got Mount, we've got Sterling, we've got Phillips going forward. Rice can do the same. And Harry Kane, who can score and provide goals. But at the moment, England, especially in the second half, are more or less playing second fiddle here to Croatia. And Croatia are the more in control. The ball with England now. Kieran Trippier inside the Croatian area. Trippier to Raheem Sterling, back to Trippier. Goes all the way back to Tyrone Mings. John Stones. Carl Walker pass it forward to Calvin Phillips. Good run from Calvin Phillips. Take on one, take on two. Outside the penalty. Raheem Sterling is on the penalty area. Raheem Sterling shoots and he scores. And it's the first goal for England in the 57th minute. Fantastic play. Fantastic move by England. And Raheem Sterling, only a few seconds ago, I said he's probably going to be substituted by Jack Grealish. He sends the answer and he scores for England. It's England 1, Croatia 0. And now England need to keep hold of that lead and they need to stop the Croatian surge in the first 10 minutes. And they've done they provided the great answer by having this great goal. It's a great move, Kieran Trippier, and they should pass it on to Calvin Phillips, who take on one player, then take on two, and forward pass to Raheem Sterling for about 6-7 yards. Him and the goalkeeper was surrounded by two defenders, but he managed to pass between them, and then on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side of the Croatian goalkeeper, Livakovic. We hoped for a goal, and we hoped it for England, and it was scored by Raheem Sterling. Now, we just need to be careful here from England. Raheem Sterling is the scorer for England. And now England, like we said, we need them to stay focused. That's the main thing. And make sure they don't lose that lead. We can still, we did see a bit more of Foden and Mount, and that's the reason why probably Sterling would have been substituted. But the beauty of these players that we got here in England is that any of them can actually score and provide. And 1 minute I was saying, and rightly so, that Raheem Sterling wasn't much in the game. He comes out of nowhere and he scores the goal. And now, at the moment, it's the goal that England are leading Croatia with. Kyle Walker, surging forward on the right-hand side, passed it on to Calvin Phillips. Phillips with the ball. Foden to Harry Kane. And this goal hopefully can bring a bit of confidence for England to get even another one. And Raheem Sterling on the ball again, surging on the left-hand side. Sterling. And now Croatia have to think what we can do to break that English defence. They were doing well in the first 10 minutes or so, but it was England who got the ball, and that's where it counts. And that's what I was saying earlier. Look what happened with Denmark. They were literally on top throughout the whole game. The effects of what happened to Christian Eriksen might have had a big difference, but even afterwards, they were dominating the game, but they still conceded the goal from Finland and came out with nothing. Luckily, so far for England, in the second half, Croatia were the ones who actually surging forward and creating chances, but it was England so far who actually scored the goal. And I'm glad to say that my prediction of Sterling coming off was wrong, because, or maybe he would have been coming off if he hasn't scored the goal, but I hope that can give a bit more extra confidence for the English players. Phillips to Sterling on the left-hand side, to Mason Mount. Try to take on Karadzic, goes back to Raheem Sterling, and back to Declan Rice. Rice to John Stones inside the Croatia area. To Phillips. Phillips has a good game. To Stones, to Harry Kane. And it was a push on Harry Kane. The referee says play on, no foul. And England keep hold of the ball. Back to Harry Kane. Kane is being body checked, and this time there is a foul for Harry Kane. He was body checked by the impressive Brozovic. I do like Brozovic. I will say it, that he's actually a fantastic player for end-to-end, fantastic for Croatia. Mason Mount try to take on the Vasialko, but has been tackled well by Croatia, but it goes back with England. Now, England need to score another one just to settle the nerves even more so. Because while the score is still 1-0, Croatia can still think they can actually do something. Raheem Sterling to Mason Mount on the edge of the penalty area on the left-hand side. Cross it towards Harry Kane. Oh, that's a great chance from Harry Kane from inside the 6-yard. And and Harry Kane got a body checked and the ball goes out. But Harry Kane looks in pain just inside the 6-yard area. It was body checked by Harry Kane, by the goalkeeper, and by the Croatian defender. And now Harry Kane looks injured and struggling. It was a last-minute interception by Gvardiol, the 19-year-old. And it was a great tackle. But looking at it, Harry Kane missed the chance, but he also seems like to hit the post. and it does not look well for Harry Kane at the moment. And we wish him a speedy recovery. I mean, this is the thing that we don't want to see in football. We've seen it yesterday with Christian Eriksen, and now Harry Kane is still lying on the ground with the medical staff. There was an insurgency from the Croatian goalkeeper to call in on the medics straight away, and it's beautiful to see from Livakovic because he realised that he hit the post and Kane is in trouble. So I don't think it's as serious as Christian Eriksen, of course, but it's still serious because we have seen Harry Kane going down quite badly. It was a great chance, and I think watching from the replay, it looks like the last player to block the ball that came across from Mason Mount to Harry Kane was blocked by Gvardiol. So it was a great interception by the Croatian player, but in the process, Harry Kane did hit the post. Harry Kane, he looks well now, and I'm glad to say he's back on the pitch now, Harry Kane. The injury didn't seem as bad as it was, but of course we have to realise that the reflections on things and the injury that players can get, it needs to be cautioned about, irrespective of all players of all around the world. And what we've seen yesterday from the Danish and the Finnish players and from our own official, Anthony Taylor, it's been beautiful how everyone reacted on the pitch. So credit to all of them, credit to the medics and on the football pitch, credit to all the medics around the world and dealing with the pandemic, and credit to all the medics who always say there to save our lives, whatever they are, whatever the reason is. So thank you. Thank you for all the medics around the world. There's a player for Croatia is down. It's a foul. In fact, Croatia's still playing on, and there's going to be a foul for Croatia. There's just an understanding here from the Italian referee, but it was a late tackle from Phil Foden on Gvardiol. And now Phil Foden is the first English player on the referee's yellow list. So it's a yellow card for Phil Foden. So we've got 3 players now who's been yellow carded. Katakar in the first half, the centre-back Croatia, Kovacic for Croatia, and Phil Foden in the second half for England. The ball goes forward to Croatia, goes to Harry Kane, the middle of the park to Raheem Sterling. Sterling take on Brozovic, but Raheem Sterling collided with Brozovic. English players are calling for a foul, but referee says play on. Very strict refereeing from the Italian referee today, and he's probably keeping players on track and seems to know when player is actually faking it and a player has actually generally been fouled. And so far, I'll give credit to the referee. He's got the right decisions in all of them. The ball from Vasiljelko got deflected. It goes to Brozovic on the right-hand side, to Modric, to Vasiljelko, cross it and heads it from and shot from Croatia, and another shot from Rebic from about 10 yards, but he miskicked the ball and it goes to a goal kick to Croatia. Croatia had the first shot from Brozovic, deflected by England, then it goes back to Rebic, who actually is shot from Rebic, just miskicked it completely, and that could have been a danger threat, and it was a threat for England. John Stones playing from the back, forward to Phil Foden, but he could not control the ball, and it goes to throw into Croatia. 65 minutes gone. England 1, Croatia 0. Raheem Sterling in the 56th minute. And now England on the counter-attack. They managed to nick the ball off the Croatians. Mason Mount going forward. And there's a foul for England just about 2-3 yards outside the penalty area. And this time is another yellow card for Brozovic. This time Brozovic, who come back really, he took one for the team, as we say. And he knows if you have to let Mason Mount go and keep going forward, Mason Mount would have probably had the chance of pass the ball to either of the 2 England players on each side, or go for himself. So it's Brozovic now, who's the other player who's on the yellow cards. 3 players in the second half on the yellow cards, and 1 in the first half. So the game is heating up a bit. Brozovic has been ever so impressive for me this game, and for Inter Milan, and I've said it for you once. And now we've got a free kick for England. just probably about 2-3 yards from the penalty area. It looks like they'd be left for Mason Mount and a right kick. Mason Mount is standing behind the ball. Harry Kane is with Tyrone Mings just in front of the wall. So Mason Mount, and he goes for goal, and just a bit wide. It goes for a goal kick for Croatia. It's a good effort from Mason Mount, right-footed above the wall, and literally we're talking about 2-3 centimeters above the post, and then goes for a goal kick for Croatia. We start to see more from England since they scored the goal. There've been more, and now England, they have got players who got pace, the likes of Sterling, Mount, and Foden, and they can actually dominate on Croatia if they manage to get the ball and go on a counter attack. Because we are going to see probably more Croatian players going forward, even more so. We have seen Versijalko and Gvardiol going on both flanks to try and score the leading goal, but it was England who ended up scoring goal through Raheem Sterling. And what we're probably going to see is Croatia going more forward. But Croatia playing with danger now in their own penalty area. In fact, it was from Brozovic, and Mason Mount was a pressure on him from the Chelsea player, and it goes to a goal kick to Croatia. We see Marcus Rashford is possible player to come on. He's taking last instructions from the assistant manager for England, and we're going to see probably double substitution for Croatia as well. We're going to see double substitutions surely for Croatia. It looks like Brekalo is coming on as well, and ball with Croatia. Versijalko forward, intercepted by England. Calvin Phillips didn't control the ball. Goes back to Gvardiol. Gvardiol on the left hand side. He comes surging forward. Back again to Rebic, and the ball gets deflected just before Gvardiol, and it goes to a corner to Croatia. A corner for Croatia from the left-hand side. And England need to be careful from the corners. The height even of Gvardiol can be threatening from inside the penalty area in Jordan Pickford's goal. Luka Modric is going to take the corner. We're going to see the substitutions, but probably after this corner, both managers are happy to wait. Luka Modric cross it outside the penalty area, and a shot from outside the penalty area from Brozovic, but it goes wide and it goes for a goal kick for England. It was a great play from Luka Modric to Brozovic, who was outside the penalty area, but the shot just goes wide. And it's very similar to what Tottenham used to do years ago from Darren Anderton to Teddy Sheringham, if you remember that from years ago. There are going to be the substitutions. Brozovic is coming off, and Klasic is coming on. Vlasic, is coming on, and Karabic is coming off. Karabic is coming off, and Brekalo, as we mentioned earlier, is coming on. So it's more of an attacking team at the moment. And for England, it's like for like. Phil Foden is coming off, and we're going to see Marcus Rashford. I know probably some people were expecting Jack Grealish to come in at some stage, but not yet. We've still got 20 minutes to go. And England won, Croatia 0 through Raheem Sterling's goal in the 56th minute. But Croatia are going for more an attacking side. So Karabic is coming off with Brozovic, who's been the holding midfielder, Brozovic, and he's done so very well. And Brekalo and Vlasic are the ones that are coming on. The ball with England. In the middle of the park. Pass it back to Kieran Trippier. The ball still with England. To Declan Rice. To Harry Kane. Harry Kane flicks it forward to the left-hand side towards Mason Mount, but the ball goes out. Could not control the ball before comes out, and there was a throw into Croatia. Plays quickly. Ball with the centre back, Saltakar, to Kovacevic. Kovacic. Pass the ball to Gvardiol on the left-hand side. To Katakar in the middle of the park to Luka Modric. To Vlasic. Pass on one. Goes to Kovacic. And pass it on to Bracalo. Bracalo cross it towards, in fact, the forward is going forward, Gvardiol. You can see more Gvardiol, even more so. The ball goes back for Croatia. Kovacic to Luka Modric inside the English half. To Vasilielko on the right-hand side. Try and take on Raheem Sterling. Goes back to Kovacic again. They're going forward. They're looking for the goal. Goal for Bracalo. Bracalo on the right-hand side. And across from Visalio. And heads from Perisic. And this is what tricky, because Perisic was standing there between Kyle Walker and Jordan Pickford. And header from Rebic nearly got to Perisic, but Kyle Walker's managed to cover it quite well in the hands of Jordan Henderson. So, like we said, Bracalo coming on, and Vlasic for Croatia to shake things up a bit. And there's more attacking positions really for Croatia, and like for like Marcus Rashford for Phil Foden. There's a free kick for England, a foul on Harry Kane by Saltakar, who was a bit body checked by Kaletakar, who's already on the yellow, so he needs to be careful, the Croatian. Kaletakar, the Marseille defender, 40 caps for his name. This is going to be the 15th cap. And a free kick, just in the middle of the Croatian half. It looks like Kieran Trippier is going to take the free kick. Kieran Trippier. Cross it forward towards Tyrone Mings, and it goes to Raheem Sterling, and Raheem Sterling shoots from about 9-10 yards, but it goes way, way high, rosy, and goes for a goal kick for Croatia. That was a good chance for England. Great cross from Kieran Trippier, who spot on towards Tyrone Mings' header, who managed to find Raheem Sterling, who's just coming in, just inside the penalty area, but his shot has just gone wide. Now, Croatia on the attack towards Perisic, and there's a foul on Calvin Phillips, on Perisic. And now we've got John Stones is on the ground as well. John Stones, who seems to be suffering from an injury, the Manchester City defender, ex-Everton player. We're playing the 75th minute. England 1, Croatia 0. And the goal through Raheem Sterling. And we have got the medics here with John Stones, possible cramps. But we shall see the extent of the injury in the next few moments for England. And England, they have got 15 minutes to try to keep hold of the lead or even score a second. They have had that chance just a few moments ago through Raheem Sterling again. But we need to be aware of the attacking now of the Croatian players, because both substitutions, introductions of Bracalo and Vlasic are very attacking substitutions, as one of the players who came off was Brozovic, who has actually been really solid in that field for Croatia. There's a throw-in. It seems like it's going to be a throw-in for Croatia. They're asking for a free kick, but they're actually going to get the throw-in. So a throw-in for the injury for John Stones, and like for like, and the ball goes out for throw-in for England now. So throw-in for England on the right-hand side, Kyle Walker. And you can see about 5-6 players, Croatian players, are inside the England half, trying to put pressure on that throw-in, because they know if they can break that chain, the England chain, they can actually have the chance of going forward on the counter-attack with as many Croatian players as they can get. Now, England with the ball forward towards Marcus Rashford, but it's too much on Rashford. It goes back to Kovacic. Kovacic with the ball in the centre of the park to Luka Modric, again to Kovacic, been followed by Harry Kane, but it goes to Versialko. Back to Kovacic. Try and move forward, and he's surging forward. Kovacic, cross it to the left-hand side towards Perisic, pass it back to Gvardiol, Kovacic, back to Luka Modric. Now the change position to the right-hand side to Vida. Vida's coming forward now, who's played quiet, more or less defending Vida. But now even he is in a matter of desperation from the Croatian players trying to move forward. And Versialko gets a throw in. And now Croatia with the ball. Just for Kovacic from the corner. And it goes towards Perisic inside the penalty area, but it's got cleared by England. And it goes to a throw in to Croatia. It was a great interception by Declan Rice. In the right time, in the right place, the West Ham player. And we are going to see another substitution for Croatia. It's going to be the introduction of Petkovic. Petkovic is coming on. Petkovic, number 20. And he's coming on for Rebic. So we have seen 3 substitutions so far for Croatia, and all been very attacking substitutions. And there's been body checked. Raheem Sterling got body checked by the Croatian Vlasic. That's a free kick for England. Free kick for England, yeah, more or less just outside their own penalty area. And they can take a bit of a breather and try to kill as many moments as possible. Jordan Pickford going to take the free kick. We have got limited spectators today, I believe in the range of 20,000. And here at Wembley. And of course, we wish everyone all to be all safe and well in these times of the pandemic. Throw into Croatia. Just over 10 minutes left. And England 1, Croatia 0. There's a foul for Croatia. Foul on Kieran Trippier, just in the middle of the park. Take it on to Kalita Kar. To Gvardiol. To Kovacic. Pass it forward, but intercepted by the England team. And head towards Harry Kane, but it's been head back. And now Harry Kane tried to get the ball, but Vida was there to intercept it from in front of Harry Kane. And it goes back to Luka Modric. Again, now Croatia starting from the back. To Versialko. Pass it forward to the right-hand side. Goes back to Modric. They have got probably the right substitutions that kind of times, but they're not doing anything with it at the moment, Croatia. Now, Croatia with the ball. Petkovic. Pass it to Vlasic, to the right-hand side. To Versialko. And try to get inside the penalty area, but intercepted by Raheem Sterling. And Raheem Sterling lashes it forward, and it goes all the way to Kalita Kar. Now you can see all the England players are all in their own area. So what it looks like we're going to do is Gareth Southgate has given instructions to defend for the last 10 minutes. And that's a ball forward for Croatia in no man's land. It goes to throw in to England. And we are going to see another substitution for England. And it appears to be Jude Bellingham who's going to come on. And we're going to wait and see who's the player is going to be come off. Is it going to be more or less having 3 players ahead of the back 4? So a possibility we might see Mount or Sterling coming off. And we're probably going to see Jude Bellingham there covering. In fact, looks like it's going to be Harry Kane. Harry Kane is coming off. The England captain is coming off, and Jude Bellingham is coming on. And Harry Kane looks a bit not happy, a bit puzzled. To be fair to him, he doesn't look angry, but he does look a bit puzzled with me taking off. I mean, at the end of the day, we talk about the captain of the team. So it's a weird substitution. Harry Kane is giving the England fans a round of applause and thanking him for being there. But I do find that a weird substitution to take Harry Kane off. It's very rare when you take your captain off, especially in that sort of stages. Modric now with the ball. Modric. Pass it on to Perisic on the left-hand side. Perisic try to take on Ryan Walker on the penalty area. Go to Modric, but it been intercepted. No, Jude Bellingham's first touch, but it wasn't a good one. And he goes to Kovacic. And now Jude Bellingham and Luka Modric go for the same ball. And that ball, England on the counter-attack towards Marcus Rashford. And it goes all the way to Livakovic. Now it looks like Jude Bellingham is taking Marcus Rashford's position in that midfield role, and Marcus Rashford is being pushed forward to take on Harry Kane, who's just been substituted by Gareth Southgate. We'll talk to Vers Vernon more about this at the end of the match. But like I said, substituting Harry Kane is not really was expected by me or by many England fans. Croatia with the ball. They've got 7 minutes trying to get something out of this. Perisic on the left-hand side, cross it. And in fact, they've crossed towards the goal, and Jordan Flick would have to go a step backwards trying to get Perisic's goal, because it would look like a cross or a chip for about 20-odd yards. But Jordan Pickford was there for it, so the danger has been cleared. And Croatia have made 3 substitutions so far, but the effects of it hasn't been that well since that substitution has been made. So, really, from my point of view, the attacking substitution for Croatia didn't do much, and England are winning, and then England take off their captain, Harry Kane. And now we're going to see the full substitution for Croatia. It's going to be Pasalic. Number 15 is coming on, but I think waiting for that throw to be taken. And in fact, Modric is forward. Modric on the right-hand side and been intercepted by the English players, and it goes back to Modric. Modric take the ball player, and Calvin Phillips commits a foul on Modric inside the England area. It's a foul for Croatia. Foul on Calvin Phillips. We can see he actually did take the ball, but it was still body checked by Calvin Phillips. And it's going to be the other substitution is going to be the Chelsea player coming off, which is Kovacic, and it's going to be Mario Pasalic, who's actually coming on. Mario Pasalic, the Atalanta player, one of the players who've shown in the last year or so with Atalanta in the Champions League and the Serie A. It's going to be free kick. It's going to take long by Luka Modric. Luka Modric. It's going for the free kick. Cross it to inside the penalty area. It's 4-5 players, but it was a great covering from the England player, and it goes in the hands of Jordan Pickford. And there's a bit altercations by Kaltakar and Kyle Walker inside the penalty area. I think Kaltakar probably thinks that he's been body checked by John Stones and Kyle Walker. It seems to be quite more than one altercation against Kaltakar inside that penalty area. So, but it wasn't enough to substantiate it to have a penalty. So it was the right decision by the referee in the end. You can body check as soon as it's all legal. 5 minutes to go. England 1, Croatia 0. England heading for the first 3 points of the tournament for the first game here against Croatia. It's been an even game in the way as far as chances and possession. But in the end of the day, it was England who scored. And England will if it stays as it is, we'll get the points. Now, Raheem Sterling, the goal scorer, passed it forward towards Marcus Rashford, but Celtic was nearer to it and passed it back to his goalkeeper, Livakovic. Celtic to Veseljelko. Now, Croatia really need to do something, and we should see, like in the last few minutes, probably a surge from Croatia, and more of desperation for Croatia, trying to get at least a point from this game. But like I said, we haven't seen much from Croatia since the substitutions were made, which is opposite what we were expecting. Modric. Luka Modric, he has been everywhere, to be fair, for Croatia. Goes to Bekalo, and he goes for a throw-in for Croatia. To Bekalo, pass it back to Petkovic. But the ball goes to a goal kick. It was Veseljelko who was going forward, and the goal couldn't get the ball, and it was good covering from Raheem Sterling, and it goes to a goal kick to England. You've got 3 minutes left, and I'm sure Gareth Southgate, as much as that, he'll probably be happy with the 3 points, but he probably will have some question mark on the performance of the team in general, because it's been very direct and very steady, but no much of an effect of some of the players going forward. And now we see a clash of heads between two players, between Vida and Jude Bellingham, and the game now has been stopped. And Vida is standing up, but Jude Bellingham is on the ground, and wish them both speedy recovery. But it has been a clash of heads between the both players, and Jude Bellingham is still on the ground. Jude Bellingham, the Borussia Dortmund player, and we've seen so many players who, the scouting system in Germany has been horrific, absolutely horrific. Jadon Sancho, Jude Bellingham have been taken by their own teams for literally for nothing. And compare in the own transfer market that we get in the last 10 years, and now we get Jadon Sancho and Jude Bellingham, stars of the Bundesliga, and they're both playing for their country. We have got a bit of a delay, an interruption here. Jude Bellingham is on his feet, but he is coming off the field for just to double check that he's not suffering from any concussion. It is a serious matter that has been taken by the UEFA and the FA, respectively, in regard to matches and clashes of head. It always have to be treated. We even got extra substitutions for these matters. So England is heading into the right direction. However, the football is heading in the right direction, and we need to make sure that all players are safe. And yesterday's game against Denmark against Finland was a big shout on why we should. The ball was Croatia. We're into the last 30 seconds of the normal time plus stoppage time. The ball with Croatia. They need to do something here, Croatia. And Gvardiol, a bit of pressure on him, goes back to Kalitakar. Goes to still with Croatia. And we're actually going to have 4 minutes. 4 minutes of injury time. 4 minutes of injury time for the game, and goes towards Croatia. And it's a great ball towards the Croatian player, and it was Perisic, but he heads it back towards the English penalty area, but there is no one there. The nearest player is probably about 15, 20 yards away from the ball. And that was the substitutes, Pasalic. And we're probably going to see another substitution for England, because you see Dominic Calvert-Lewin is actually waiting there in the wings. And now Jude Bellingham is back in, and now give the ball to Marcus Rashford. Rashford trying to pass him forward. Goes back to Declan Rice. Pass forward from Kieran Trippier to no man's land. It goes to a goal kick to Croatia. We've got 3 minutes left, and it looks like it's going to be Raheem Sterling is coming off. Raheem Sterling is coming off for England, who we're going to see 3 captains for England today. It was Harry Kane, then gone to Raheem Sterling, the captaincy. And now Raheem Sterling is coming off, and the introduction of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And we shall see who's the captain in the next few moments for England. And the ball goes forward for Croatia. It goes towards Tyrone Mings, who's covered the ball quite well from Petkovic, but pass it back to Pickford, and it cleared by Pickford. It goes to Luka Modric. Modric trying to control the ball. It goes to Gvardiol. Gvardiol. Pass it forward. They're trying to take on one, take on two, but he's cutting cross now, Gvardiol, and then he sees no place to go and goes back to Vida. To Versialko. To Brecalo. Back to Vida. To Brecalo. Just on the edge, on the right-hand side. To go back to Vida. Just about a minute and a half left of stoppage time. Modric. Cross it forward inside the penalty area. Heads it towards Vlasic. Header from Vlasic towards his colleague, but Vlasic header did manage to find Jordan Pickford before it gets to Petkovic. Jordan Pickford had a good game so far today. The main thing is to have the clean sheet for England, and they have done so. And the goal could get played towards Marcus Rashford. Cleared by Croatian player Vlasic. Vlasic trying to control the ball. Pass it on to Modric. To Pasadic. And now ball towards Perisic on the left-hand side, but Kyle Walker was nearer to it, and pass it back to Jordan Henderson, who cross it forward, and it goes to a throw-in to Croatia. Just under a minute left, 40 seconds left in the injury time, and it looks like England are heading for their first win, one win out of one against Croatia. Of course, they're in the same group as Scotland and the Czech Republic, so having the 3 points is very vital here at Wembley. They are, like I said, the game has been steady, but not much excitement. And we have seen very weird substitutions from Gareth Southgate, taking off the captain, Harry Kane, and then taking off Raheem Sterling, who was the second vice captain. And now, I have to admit, I don't know who the captain is. It's going to be the last chance for Croatia. Vader, cross it forward. That's the last chance for Croatia. Goes towards Perisic, and the ball goes to a throw-in to Croatia. That could be literally the last chance for Croatia. Last throw-in. Perisic on the left-hand side. We're literally going to see every single Croatian player forward. Plays it forward inside the penalty area. Cleared by Croatia. And a shot by the Croatian player, but it goes out. And in fact, the whistle has been blown by the referee, and England have got their first 3 points of this tournament, beating Croatia by a goal to nil. A goal came through Raheem Sterling, and congratulations, England, for that goal. It was a bit of a steady game. It wasn't a very much convincing game, but let's not forget, Croatia is a very good side. Croatia are semi-finalists. They're finalists in the World Cup 3 years ago, and England have got the job done through Raheem Sterling. So it ended England 1, Croatia 0, and surely we'll be talking to Ros Vernon on his thoughts on the game. He did predict 2-1 for England, and he will probably give us man of the match as well while he was there. But we have seen good Croatia didn't really do much after England scored the goal. And all the substitutions that Croatia have made didn't come to any effect in any way, shape or form. But the main thing for England, if they've got the 3 points, and that's what it counts as far as England perspective. And I believe we're going to be joined by Ros Vernon any second now. Ross, are you with us?
I am, John, but before I give you thoughts on the game, I just want to sing a song which Leeds fans sing for my man of the match this afternoon, and I think it'll probably be your man of the match as well, but I'll give the man of the match if that's okay, even though you've done the commentary. John, if that's okay with you?
Absolutely. You're the pundit today, Ross, so it's your choice for the man of the match.
A man of the match is England's number 14, and I'm going to sing you a song. It's Magic, you know. Phillips, the Yorkshire Polo. Calvin Phillips, man of the match. He dictated everything England did today and did absolutely fantastic performance from the Leeds United man. And like I said at half time, John, it was a bittersweet moment for him today, assisting the England winner on his Euro 2020 on his major tournament debut for England, and it's also a special day because his nan, Granny Van, would have been watching on from above after she passed away towards the end of last season. And a fantastic performance from Calvin Phillips today, and he was the man of the match, did everything right, and to be honest, all the players played well, but Calvin Phillips is the man of the match from us, sponsored by Commentary Services today, John.
Thank you very much, Ross. I mean, England have played well, but it was a steady game, wasn't it? I mean, Croatia weren't an easy game target, weren't they? And they seemed to come off the foot, came off the gas the minute Brozovic. I mean, Brozovic was the anchor player, which plays in the same position as Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice. And they took him off after England scored the goal. And you would expect, with all the four substitutions that Croatia made, and they were all attacking substitutions, but we didn't see anything from Croatia afterwards. We saw Croatia attacking in the first 10 minutes until Raheem Sterling scored. But luckily for England, Croatia didn't do much in the last 35 minutes or so.
No, they didn't. England just saw the game out well, and Calvin Phillips, I've just seen one of our friends, John Mike Orneman, he put in the group chat that we were in on Facebook with everyone in there. Phillips has been incredible, easily man of the match. And that goal today was superb from Calvin Phillips, and just good to see that Calvin Phillips gets the man of the match, and also he did superbly today, and a fantastic display in that midfield for England. And Calvin Phillips deservedly gets man of the match from me. I think he'll get man of the match from everybody today who's been watching this game. He was just absolutely superb for England today in that number 8 role. Calvin Phillips, man of the match, and he absolutely superb performance from him. I'm going to keep saying it, John. I'm going to keep saying it all night. I'm going to keep saying it. I'll say it again tomorrow. I'll say it again Tuesday. I'll say it again Wednesday as well. Calvin Phillips, absolutely man of the match.
And indeed, Calvin Phillips is our pundit Ross Vernon's man of the match. And obviously, the 3 points that England got today are very vital, because obviously it's vital in any kind of circumstances, but it's very vital when your next game is Scotland, and Scotland is a rivalry game. It's very hard to predict rival games, isn't it? It's not as easy as people think.
No, it's not as easy as people may think, but I think England will give it a good go, and I think we could easily win that one. I think we could win that one as well. I said 2-1 today, it was 1-0 today. I think if you look at the England team on paper, it's better than Scotland's, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts. Let's just see what other people think. But England, I think they'll win again on Friday, and I think we could end up finishing top of the group with a win against Czech Republic as well, depending how they start tomorrow against Scotland, which is a game that I'll be bringing you live commentary of at 2 o'clock here on the Commentary Hub. But coming up later on the Commentary Hub this evening, we'll have live audio commentary of the Netherlands against Ukraine, and that is with Barry Swain. I'll be presenting that one today.
And Ross, while you're talking about England and Scotland, I mean, we watched. It's not a pretty watch, isn't it, for England? But it was a steady game that it can, if it plays the way they did, they can actually try to stop the teams like Belgium, who were very impressive yesterday against the Russians.
Yes, the cannon. If you also another team which weren't very impressive but got the job done as well, John. Going back to the opening day,
Italy.
was Italy. They got the job done. Weren't impressive at all, Italy. Neither were Turkey, to be quite honest with you, Italy got the job done. Yesterday, Wales go into the game in second half after going behind, reserving the goal point against Switzerland in the opening match. As we say, continued. Oh, yes, it's nice for England to get off to a win, but I thought still go out to the Christian Eriksen after yesterday. I put in the chat that was in earlier, John. I'm just going to read the message out from earlier on today, John, as well, which
Yes.
was put out by the comment by the people at the Danish FA. He said, "This morning we have spoken to Christian Eriksen. We sent his greetings to his teammates. His condition is stable and he continues to be hospitalised for further examination. The team and staff of the national team have received crisis assistance and will continue to be there for each other after yesterday's incident. We'd like to thank everyone for their heartfelt greetings to Christian Eriksen from fans, players, royal families from both Denmark and England, international associations, clubs, etc. We encourage everyone to send their greetings to the Danish FA, where we'll make sure they're all passed on to Christian and his family."
Absolutely. I mean, what happened yesterday was a very sad sight, isn't it, for everyone to see and to know about. And obviously, we had our own Nicholas commentating on it, and he done a very good job in commentating in that kind of circumstances. But our best wishes does go to Christian Eriksen and his family and friends. And what we've seen from the Danish players yesterday in surrounding him, and also, I mean, people talking about Simon Kjær, the Danish defender, the AC Milan player. They're talking about he's already a man of the tournament because he's the one who saved Christian Eriksen's life by moving his head before he swallowed his tongue. So it's just incredible how we got the players who actually, when it comes to the crunch, we know how to deal and become humans again.
Yes, and I also just want to give a big shout out to Leicester City's Kasper Schmeichel, because if you remember, John, the helicopter crash in Leicester, he was first on the scene after that helicopter crash, and he was first on the scene yesterday to comfort Christian Eriksen's wife. So, congrats, very well done to him as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's when it's beautiful to see humanity is as highest, not just yesterday, but in general over the last year or so with the pandemic that is going on all over the world. And it's very nice to see the humanity coming up and shining. And it's great to see so many things like that in our lifetime. So, and obviously the medics who've been superb, not only yesterday, but in general and all over the world in saving all our lives. And we have to thank them so much for that.
We do, John. You absolutely agree with you there, matey. You're absolutely spot on there. And John, what I'm going to do now, mate, I'm just going to ask you a question. Obviously, I've gave man of the match to Calvin Phillips this afternoon of England. Was Calvin Phillips your man of the match today as well?
I think he was. I think he was. Obviously, I'm not a Leeds fan, so you're probably more excited about it than I am. So, but he was, for me, man of the match. He managed to control the game quite well in his position. I mean, you look at him and you look at Declan Rice. Both of them seems to be a mate for each other in today's game. They really work so well in that holding midfield role, and it done wonders. And both of them, they're being my man of the match. Calvin Phillips, for what he did going forward as well. So I'll give him the edge on that. My only worry, Russ, is it was the instability of Tyrone Mings a few times in the back. And that actually made me worry a bit throughout the game. And I've seen him hesitating a few times, which probably will give Gareth Southgate another thought, is when Harry Maguire gets fit, he might take on Tyrone Mings' place in the forthcoming games.
Yes, but I was listening before the game to the TV station over here, which I've been watching it on. I'm not going to mention it on air, John. And They were saying on there, the commentators on there, because that's what I was listening to for the match today, just coming at half time and full time on the commentary hub, and they were saying that Maguire will probably not be fit until the Czech Republic game in the final game of the group stage. So for at least the Scotland game as well, he may have to go with this
Tyrone Mings, yeah.
Tyrone Mings and John Stones partnership, but he could potentially put Connor Cody and John Stones together, see how well they do. But maybe he thinks Connor Cody is more suited for
The
playing
Scotland
three of
game.
the back rather than playing four of the back, and he wants to play four of the back throughout the tournament. We just took him just in case his injuries, which forces him to make changes to play three at the back.
Quick question here, Ross, being a pundit. And what is the issue with Harry Kane? I mean, we didn't see Harry Kane today. We always say Harry Kane, he's a leader, isn't he? He's a leader, even if he hasn't got the ball. But the substitution that has been made, was that a bit premature substitution, or is that based on that we won the game? Let's try to play defensive style for the last 10 minutes or so.
Well, for me, we didn't really see much of him at all today. Almost got a goal, which was a fantastic save from the goalkeeper, Livakovic, who made some good saves throughout the game. England could have had three or four goals today, and if they had done, you couldn't have argued with the scoreline that it ended up being 3 or 4-0 in the game, John. But I think with the goal with Harry Kane, like I say, he didn't really play that much. Didn't really seem that much. He thought he got a goal, and maybe when he clattered into the post, that was one of the main reasons why take him off, make sure he's okay for the next game against Scotland on Friday, and and go forward from there, John. I think that's probably one of the main reasons why he took Harry Kane off today,
No,
if I'm
no,
quite honest with you.
No, absolutely. I mean, what we hope to see. I mean, like I said it before. I said it earlier as well, Ross. That England had played a steady game, hadn't they? But at the end of the day, it wasn't really a pretty watch, wasn't it? It's not like when we were watching Belgium yesterday or the Italians are very exciting going forward. England weren't as much, weren't they? Considering we have got players who can excite you. I mean, we've got Foden, Mount, Sterling, who are all between them are all Champions League and the Premier League winners. But we didn't see the attacking excitement or the attacking insurgence by them three players with Harry Kane going forward.
Yeah, I agree, John. I agree with you there, and I've just seen what you've said in our group chat, and I've just noticed as well, John. UEFA have announced the start of the match in the England game today. Who do you reckon they've got for man of the match?
Because you're mentioning it, Ross, I'll say probably Calvin Phillips.
No, not Calvin Phillips.
Oh, they're probably going to be Raheem Sterling for his goal.
Yeah, they've given it to Sterling, but if he wasn't for Phillips, Sterling wouldn't have scored that goal, and Sterling, for the majority of the game, and even in the second half, I mentioned at half time, John, and we're still doing the same in the second half, he was giving the ball away on a number of occasions.
That's right. I mean, I think before the goal, we can see Jack Grealish was warming up, didn't we? And I actually said in my commentary, I would have thought Sterling would have been come off, and Grealish would have come on, but Grealish was warming up for that. But literally a few seconds later, Sterling scored a goal, and I think Southgate decided to keep him on the pitch.
Yes, I agree, but can you tell me, other than per score for England, can you tell me what Sterling did today, other
Sterling
than score?
He didn't do much at all, to be honest. Like I said, Sterling was more or less very quiet, as well as Harry Kane, and we didn't see anything of both of them, sadly. But I do hope that coming the next game or two against Scotland and the Czech Republic, that we'll see a different kind of dimension and different kind of style of play. That maybe it will get Sterling and Kane out of their shell for the next game, and that's what I'm hoping for. We do need a good win against Scotland, and like I said to you last week in our program with Matt Ellis, which he presented quite nicely. Is that my dark horses, my personal dark horse, are Scotland. So we're going to see how they're going to play against the Czech Republic tomorrow. And that's going to be very interesting because, like I said, you have to take all the rivalries out because you have to take all the style of football out because when you're playing a rival, if you're on a club level or an international level, it becomes a completely different ball game. So Sterling and Kane have to rise their level a bit to compete against Scotland.
I agree, John. I agree, mate.
I've got a just quick question here for you, Russ. We talk about England. Let's talk quickly about Croatia. Croatia weren't a bad team today, and I mentioned my commentary so many times, and I've seen that player play for Inter Milan so many times this season in the La Liga. And number 11, Brozovic, he was phenomenal for him. I mean, he was holding up midfield as well as Kevin Phillips was, but he was on the losing side. But he was everywhere. I don't know if you've noticed. He was fantastic going forward, and he was fantastic holding the ball. And the minute he came off, the buzz in that Croatian team stopped, even with Modric being on the pitch. But Brozovic coming off, it sort of took the light out of that Croatian team.
It did, John. I completely agree with you about that. Completely agree with everything you said. And Brozovic was probably Croatia's man of the match today, but he didn't really get much of a look in going forward because of the likes of Phillips, Rice was stopping him from doing his creative work to get Croatia on the front foot.
As far as England is concerned, on today's game, going next to the Scotland game, which of these players that you would actually take off the starting lineup from what we got available?
Well, for me, I'd probably keep majority of the side the same. I'd go if Anderson is fit, although Pickford didn't really have much to do, I'd put Anderson in, and then I'd play Walker, Stones, said Cody potentially other than Mings, and then Luke Shaw if he's okay to start the next game. And I'm also, and then I'll go with Phillips and Rice again, Sterling, Mount and Foden, and Harry Kane up top. And speaking of Calvin Phillips, who got our man of the match today, John, what I'm going to do, if you can, I'm going to play it in the background because he is speaking on my TV right now about about the match today. So I'm going to put it on and let you listen to what Calvin Phillips is going to say after the game today.
Calvin, as you walked over here to do the interviews then, the fans that are still inside the stadium said you were absolutely class. That's what our studio are saying as well. How much did you enjoy it out there today?
It was very enjoyable. It was really warm at the start. It took a toll on us towards the end of the game, and it was obviously a great result. Obviously, very happy with the performance, but I know that there's two more group games left, and the performance is good as that, if not better.
It must feel even better when you know you played such a big part in that performance as well, particularly in Raheem's goal.
Obviously it's a nice feeling. I said as soon as we finished celebrating that, it's the first time I've looked at him, first time I found him with a pass since I've been coming to England. So, it's a nice feeling. Obviously a great feeling to get an assist, and it's a great feeling for the 3 points.
It's also your first game in a major tournament for England as well. You look so calm, and as if you've been doing it for years out there. Is that how you feel?
To be honest, I'm just laid back. That's the kind of person I am. Regardless of what's been thrown at me, I just kind of try and take it in my path and try and relax as much as possible. And if I didn't have the team around me and the coaching staff around me to make me feel like that, then I don't think it'll be possible.
Someone else you've got around you as well, Declan Rice. How is that partnership coming along? Because again, that looks like it's been something that's been formed over the years.
Yeah, definitely. I love playing with Declan. I love playing in that role where I have a little bit of license to go forward, and I know that Declan's behind me, backing me up if I ever get beat. So there's a lot of talk about me and Declan fighting for a position, but I think when you look at it and we play together, I think we play really well together. So it's an honour playing with Declan, and obviously the rest of the team as well.
So there is Calvin Phillips with his interview after the England game, which he set up the goal for Raheem Sterling today as well, and a fantastic ball through for Sterling to score as well. John, good interview as well. Good interview as well there with Calvin, wasn't it, John?
Absolutely. He, like I say, he deserved the man of the match, and he is definitely one for the future for Leeds and for England. I'm just going to bring in Mike Harniman with us.
Good afternoon, Mike.
Good afternoon, Mike.
How you doing, boys? All right.
Hello, Mike. I was saying to Ross earlier, I'm sure you've seen the match, and England, they played a steady game, and they've got the job done. Mm-hmm. But it's not the exciting game that we were expecting from people who we have, such as Harry Kane, and we've got an beautiful attacking midfielders really in Foden, Sterling, and Mason Mount. It wasn't pretty, but the job was done.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. When it's your first game of the major tournament as well, just to get the result is pretty much all that matters. There were some good performances in there. Calvin Phillips was exceptional. Thought Declan Rice was really good as well. I thought Mason Mount in midfield. Thought Tyrone Mings at the back had a very good game as well, to be fair. And, as I just said there, it's all about just getting over the line. Yes, some players might have underperformed, and I really like Phil Foden. I think Phil Foden had a very good 70 minutes or so as well. But, as I said before, it's all about getting over the line and getting the 3 points and moving on from here. And it's a great way to do it. It's a great ball through from Calvin Phillips and Raheem Sterling. You always find him in that sort of position, especially for club as well as country. And, yes, it wasn't a pretty goal, but who cares?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, and also, John, I just want to ask him
as well. Mike, for you today, you obviously watched the match. What did Raheem Sterling do other than score today in a positive light? Because for me, a number of times he was giving the ball away. Oh, yes, I know he set up the chance for Phil Foden early on as well, but apart from that, majority of the time he was giving the ball away, and other than scoring and giving Foden that chance early on. But in your opinion, did he do anything good to deserve star of the match, which UEFA gave him?
No, not compared to the likes of Calvin Phillips. I thought Calvin Phillips, was fantastic today. He got an assist. He got himself around as well. I thought he was winning everything in midfield. I thought he was battling really hard and, sort of doing everything in the midfield sense really, really well. So for me, Calvin Phillips would have easily got that award or that kind of, kind of accolade, really. And, Raheem Sterling, I suppose he's got the goal, so that might be where they're looking at it. But other than that, I'm with you. He didn't really do an awful lot. But that's what Raheem Sterling's about. He's a little bit like Harry Kane. Harry Kane today was very quiet as well. And, Harry Kane was only an inch away from getting a goal himself. So that's what those two guys are about. They could have, sort of substandard performances and still score you the goals that kind of count and that kind of matter.
Yes, and also as well, I just want to ask you both a question as well. I'll go to you first on this, John, as well. Jude Bellingham, I thought he played well when he came on for England today. What did you think to Jude Bellingham's performance?
I think for the minutes that he came on, he done very well. I mean, let's not forget, he's a youngster. All credit, to be honest. And I know it sounds really weird saying this, but we got some English players here, the youngsters are coming up, such as Jadon Sancho and Jude Bellingham and a few others. But we have to give credit to the German scouts, really, because they're the ones who discovered them. Because, credit where it's due. If they were still playing in Manchester City or Birmingham, there would not have been any English players today in this tournament. So we have to thank the Germans for discovering him in such a way to be a benefit, not just only for their clubs and in Bundesliga, but for our England team.
Absolutely, Mike. Absolutely, John there. And Mike, what do you think to Jude Bellingham today?
Yeah, I thought when he came on, he did everything he needed to do. It's lovely to see a 17-year-old kid come on and to get that record as well. And kind of, it's really bright signs for the future to see him come on and to really play a part as well. I thought he was really good when he come on. And, there's a lot of young talent there. As John rightly mentioned, the likes of Jadon Sancho as well. You can put Bukayo Saka into that bracket, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, Mason Mount. They're all young players that are, going to go and have great futures for club and for country.
100%, Mike. 100%. And I'm just looking here now on the UEFA website, and he's picked up the trophy, Raheem Sterling, for star of the match this evening, which should have been Calvin Phillips picking up that award, which I'm a bit surprised when Sterling got it.
I don't think the people who gave him the trophy saw the match, to be honest. I don't think they saw the game, and to credit him with man of the match. And I'm not saying it on defense of Calvin Phillips. I'm saying it because we have to look at performance. I'm being a Spurs fan. I have to admit, Harry Kane done nothing at all today. So he doesn't deserve to get anything. Even if he scored man of the match, he scored the goal today, he would not deserve to be man of the match because, and same as Raheem Sterling, they've both done nothing at all. When I say nothing at all, that means they were very, very quiet. And it was very surprising, especially from Harry Kane, coming on the back of being the highest top goal scorer and a top assist in the Premier League. And then he's done nothing at all. But like I said, I'm hoping that this will change against Scotland and unleash the Three Lions properly against our rivals. And that's what counts, isn't it, at the end of the day? We all care about the 3 points against Scotland, but also beating your rivals. You can't beat that feeling, can you?
No, absolutely. I know, Scotland have got their game tomorrow, their opener, and it's going to be interesting to see how they get on against the Czech Republic. And, of course, both nations in England and Wales have both got positive starts. England winning, Wales drawing, and it'd be nice to see Scotland get a win, and that would really set up a tasty second game, wouldn't it?
It would, man. Yes, indeed, it would. And what I'm going to do now, guys, because in a minute, I'm just going to get one on ready just to my TV, because right now, in a moment, what we can hear from England boss Gareth Southgate on his side's 1-0 win over Croatia this afternoon. So I'll just put it on just in just 1 second. I'll just get myself set up. And here we go for Gareth Southgate after England's 1-0 win over Croatia.
Oh, it's Gareth Southgate. Gareth, England had never won an opening game of the Euros until tonight. Now you have. How good does that feel?
Yeah, it's lovely to have given our fans and our country a really enjoyable afternoon. And huge players dealt with the big occasion really well. Right from the start, incredible heat. They played well, they settled early in the game. There were moments where the tempo drops just because of the heat, but the majority of the game we were in control. Didn't give them many opportunities, and we looked dangerous.
Looking at that winning goal, so much of that must have pleased you. Of course, Raheem's finish, but also the work from Calvin in the build-up.
Yeah, I think Calvin is a player who is so understated and has had a fantastic start to his international career. I thought he was immense throughout the game, as they all were, and I'm so pleased for Raheem to, he's had this hex, if you like, in the tournament, not being able to get the goal. So I thought he was dangerous all day. Right from the start, there was a throw-in inside, and he was running at their defence and looked a threat. So yeah, I'm really pleased for all of them.
He never lets you down in an England shirt, does he, Raheem Sterling? Because you did have some difficult decisions, particularly in attack, to make today. But whenever Sterling plays, he seems to perform for you.
Well, look, he's a good player, and his goal-scoring record suggests that we should have faith with him, especially in the last few years. And I think he was motivated to show. And yeah, I think for him and for everybody, we know that we're going to need that depth. We're going to need all of those attacking players that on top of it didn't go on today. we'll need those guys through the tournament. We can make changes, and we will need to.
And how did you feel your new look back line did as well?
I thought they coped very well. Croatia, I think the key is to get pressure on their midfield players especially, and we managed to do that. That limits some of the supply. But the back players dealt with the longer balls well, they read the game well, they were composed in their build-up. So again, it was a day when I felt everybody that got onto the pitch performed well, and that was set up by the whole group over the last 2 weeks. Everybody that has worked, the players that weren't involved, the disappointment, they put it to one side. We're going to need that for the next 4 weeks.
As I said before, England don't often win opening games in Euros, but was it especially important to win today, given the challenge that awaits with Scotland?
Yeah, this is a tough group. They're different sorts of challenges, and Scotland and the Czechs are good sides. So we're pleased with today. It's a good start. You want to get a good start to take some of the tension out of the preparation for the next game. But we've still got to get points to qualify, and our first objective is to qualify.
Congratulations on today, Gareth. Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much.
There was Gareth Southgate speaking after the game, and you could see and you could hear there, guys, what it meant for him to get off to a winning start for England in the opening group game for England, and you could see what it meant with the performance from Calvin and the way he set up Raheem Sterling's goal. What do you think then, John? Southgate will take from this game going into Friday's match against Scotland?
I think the main thing that he's going to take is probably the stability of the team. We got the stability of that midfield in Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips was beautiful, because the minute you control the midfield with the backup of a good centre backs, you've got a steady team, and you can nick the goal when you can. But having someone like Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice on today's performance, they were both brilliant. And I remember like years ago when people used to talk about Didier Deschamps when he's a player, and they say he doesn't do anything, or Paul Ince or Roy Keane. Some people say they don't do anything. You don't see them much. But what they do and what Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips do is immense in controlling that midfield. And if you take both of them off today's game and put probably separate players who'll probably try to do the same thing, England would have collapsed, because you can see Croatia, and sometimes they were going forward, and who's actually facing them? It was them two. So the main thing that Gareth Southgate needs to do is to stick with them two players, regardless if you change any centre backs or forwards and stuff, but stick to the same two, because they showed on the first game today of the tournament for England that you can rely on two players who can actually sit there and just control the game for us, and that's exactly what they did.
100%, John. 100% they did, mate. And Mike, having listened to Southgate there and you watch the game, what do you think he's going to take from this game going into Friday's match against Scotland?
Yeah, I have to agree with what John said about the stability, really. It's, not just the stability of the midfield, but the stability of the back line as well, with Kieran Trippier probably filling in at left back again, and Kyle Walker on the right side. So, I think it's just going to need to kind of stick with that stable lineup there, not see many changes, maybe freshen it up, maybe bring on a Jack Grealish for the start in that game to cause them something a little bit different, to kind of, sort of throw sort of a different option in there that, because obviously Scotland would have watched this game and they would have seen what England can do in terms of going forward there. But Jack Grealish can offer something completely different, so maybe throw him into the mix. But other than that, I wouldn't change too much at all. I think Kieran Trippier done a job at left back, and I think Kyle Walker, yes, he put a few stray passes that kind of went awry, sort of, either out of play or to a Croatia player. But in terms of his actual defending and doing everything that he needed to do in that kind of sense, he done it all pretty well, really. It was just a little bit stray with some passes, which might have been nerves, might have been anything, really. So, you kind of, I think, keep it as kind of fluid and as stable as possible.
Yes, absolutely, Mike. Absolutely, mate. And what we'll probably do now, John, if it's okay with you, we'll probably end the coverage here after the match great discussion with myself and Mike after the game, along with yourself, John. We'll leave the coverage for this game here, guys. You've heard from Calvin Phillips and Raheem Steele and Gareth Southgate on England's performance today and what they thought about it as well. But what we'll do, we'll bring you the later game this evening with Barry Swain on the mic as the Netherlands take on Ukraine this evening at 8 o'clock. We won't feature the next game at 5 o'clock between Austria and North Macedonia. We'll make sure we'll give you the result of that in the build-up to our later match this evening. But from everyone here on the Commentary Hub and in partnership with JB Sports, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you from about 7:45 this evening. England win against Croatia by a goal to nil.
It's
From
coming
myself,
on.
John and Mike. See you later. And as Mike says, it's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming. Football's coming home. See you later, guys.